What it do? Yo, homie.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. What's up, man?
Hang on one second. I'm trying to get my Bluetooth connected. There we go. Okay.
Dude,
I can hear you.
Shane really fucked up overnight, dude. I don't know what he did.
Dude, he
Oh, hey,
was a
by the way,
petty fucking
hey,
tyrant.
this space is recorded, by the way. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't really know why I recorded it, but just keep in mind. But yeah, I mean, not that I care about Shane knowing that I was like talking about him. You know, he talks more shit than anybody, but yeah, dude, like what happened, dude? Dude, he must have
Oh,
fucked up so bad,
goodness.
man, cause like, even I caught flack. Like, dude, I got booted from a space because of like, I came in and it was like Ursula and, Professor Sarah and like, oh, they were having like, I don't know, like they were talking about something and they were really, I mean, so I came in and I joined the speaker panel and like, Jay just said something like, what are you doing here, Grider? And then I got kicked from the fucking space. You fucking believe that shit? Didn't
I
even do anything.
think, yeah, I think, what is this? Join apathetic 12 group to hear about more spaces like this?
Yeah, man,
Did you,
it's a
did you
community
send me that?
space. Well, I mean,
Okay.
that's the space that we're in right now. Yeah.
What the hell? Asked to join. Why is it asking me to join? I don't understand.
I don't know why it's
Okay.
asking you to join, but
I
yeah,
could
dude,
tell
that's like
you,
the
I could tell
community. You
you,
know, it's the
okay,
community of
gotcha.
apathetic people. You know, we're the apathetic 12. Yeah.
So I can
Oh
tell
my
you
God.
probably
Okay.
what
Hey, so
happened.
we got two anonymous. Hey, anonymous
That's
listeners,
fine.
man.
Do you, I can tell you probably my guess, not quite related to Shane, but I think in a space yesterday, Ursula showed up and you immediately kind of left and it left her really confused. And she didn't really exactly know why you bailed. Um,
Who,
and
Shane?
maybe like when, no, Ursula. Like as soon as she showed up, I think you made a comment of, "Oh, Ursula's here. I better go." And she was like, "What the fuck? Why did he just leave?" And like had her
Oh
really
no, dude, I'm
confused
not worried
about
about
why.
that. No, dude, I'm talking about, no. I'm not worried about that. Like, no. I mean, I'm not even worried about what
Okay.
happened like this morning. You know, yeah, I mean, but I mean,
Well, I
like,
can tell you what happened with
what the hell did
Shane.
Shane do? Yeah, man. Please fill
He
me
was
in.
an absolute tyrant. He was an absolute tyrant. So, the conflict started with a comment that he left on Ursula's video that went viral, basically attributing it to a Chinese lantern or something like that. Um, and she said, well, you're entitled to your opinion, Shane. What really set him off was Jay just commenting, you jealous? And, Ursula kind of high-fiving Jay just in an emoji response. Nothing harmful, nothing like, it's just, yeah, whatever. Um, but of course, Shane, fragile ego that he has, um, went off on a rampage that day. I guess he caught wind that, they were talking smack, as friends do, when they feel like, a friend is getting attacked. And he got progressively angry and angrier throughout the day. Then he hosted a space last night. I don't remember around what time. I was with him in that space and he was already pissed off. And especially um, at Ursula. He started going off on her for sharing fake UFO videos, and it really had nothing to do with the video nor jealousy. It's the perception that he's being attacked, especially by people like Jay Just. That is a massive trigger for him. It's also because I think, and I would tell this to him, to his face. He has a problem with women. The way he treats women is a big problem. So he continued to escalate throughout the night. And apparently there was a group chat that the women are in, just women, which totally normal. Sometimes they talk smack about some of the people in the community, also normal. Everyone fucking does it. But he kind of apparently had infiltrated that group chat by pretending to be a woman. So he had, I guess, been reading all that stuff and saw that they had been talking some smack about him, which again is normal, especially when people are pissed off at you. They're gonna talk shit in DMs. So he went to Logan's space and read some of those DMs out loud and then accused them all of being misandrists, of hating men. And I mean, he escalated it to a point where, like, I told him, Shane, I know you're angry, but this is a boundary that you're crossing that is not okay. They can say and do whatever they want, but as soon as you start reading people's private messages to one another, there's an expectation of privacy, even if it's a group. This is not okay. And I tried to calm him down, but he was just cackling like a maniac. I don't know what's going on with him. He hadn't slept in 3 days. I think tonight would be night 4. I think he might be in the middle of a manic episode because this is not the Shane I know.
I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, Shane, it's kind of I mean, I don't know, man. All right, so we can move on. Yeah, okay. Thanks for filling me in. You know, we can go on and move on.
Yeah. But I could say
right,
this.
so,
I mean, I went to his face. He knows I'm not okay with it. It's not okay
I
for
mean,
what he did was not okay.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for filling me in, man. Like, I'm there.
Yeah.
All right, so let me, all right, so I've got right now in the ufology archive, this is the new project that I've got on the enterprise version of the Gemini model. So here, I have 34 sources right now. I'm going to read you, each of the sources. All right. So, this is what we're going to be working with. All right. So best UFO cases, Europe. It's a compilation of 300 cases. That's not going to, never mind. It's all pictures. Fuck. Why'd I load that in? All right. Hold on.
This is you?
Hold on.
Just
All right.
pictures?
So, all right. So here we go. No. All right. So Jacques Vallée, Messengers of Deception, the entire book. All right. So these are all books. Area 51, Black Jets, a history of the aircraft developed at Groom Lake.
Who wrote
The
that
Roswell. I mean, I don't know.
one? I think I know the author. He's pretty awesome. Reliable source. He's a historian of Area 51, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's, fuck, I don't know. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
Okay. I'll find out. All right. So, James Carrion, the Roswell Deception, UAP indications analysis, 1945 to 1975, United States Atomic Welfare Complex. I don't know what the fuck that is. Then we've got Archons, the hidden rulers
Archons.
through the ages. Archons. Yeah. It's
Archons.
Kind of a woo book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got Timothy Good's Alien Contact. We've got a couple of Australian UFO community bulletins. Dreamland, the autobiography of Bob Lazar. In Plain Sight by Ross Coulthart. Jacques Vallée, The Invisible College. We've got UFOs Won't Go Away by Clore. Roger Lear, UFOs Do Not Exist. Serpo release. We got all the Serpo documents. Yeah, baby. Get some truth in here, you know. And, then we got Subterranean Worlds, 100,000 Years of Underground Mysteries. That should be good. The Roswell Report, the Benowitz Papers, The Black World of UFOs Exempt from Disclosure by Richard Doty and Bob Collins. UFO Encyclopedia, UFOs Annotated Bibliography, a couple of 3 different news clipping PDFs, Stephen Greer's Unacknowledged, Jacques Vallée Forbidden Science, Jacques Vallée Revelations, and what is this? And let's see, I don't know, some document about something or another. I can't fucking tell. Okay. So, yeah.
Not a single one of these books is a reliable source. Did you do that on purpose?
Oh my God, would you stop? Stop.
No, I mean, it's just an interesting choice of books. They're all lore books from they're not exactly scholarly works.
I mean,
I was just wondering if
there ain't no scholarly works.
There are. I mean, the reliability of UFO witness testimony is one such book. Bob Schaefer's books are really good. But yeah, no, I was just wondering, like, what were you feeding it? Like, was there a theme that you were going for?
Okay, well, hey, here. I didn't even put, like, that's not all my books that I have. Let me go to my UFO database, and then I'll read you some, we'll see if we can find some more stuff to add. Okay, so I'll add the reliability of UFO witnesses. Let's see. What about,
so is this, Gemini or Google?
How about Black Vault, the book that,
Yeah, those are good.
John Greenwald put out, and that's like all of his
Yeah,
documents, I think. Yeah.
that's a good one. He's got two, I think. He's got two books, I think. Yeah, that's a
I've
good
just got
one.
one of them. Uh, well, I mean, dude, if you can find me a link to like a PDF, on archive of the books, books that you want added, like now, let's do it.
So,
Just find the
is
link
this
and I'll
Gemini
download
or
it.
is this Gemini or Google LM?
It's Google OM Notebook Plus, the Enterprise Edition.
Nice. So what do you get extra with the enterprise version?
Yeah, the Enterprise version. It's the Business Enterprise version.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you get extra for the enterprise version compared to the base?
I mean, I'm not. I mean, I don't know like everything that's different. Just do a Google search, and I'm sure they
Right.
list it. Like, I know that it's 300 sources compared to 50, and I think there's some other differences,
Holy
but
shit, that's
it's like
awesome.
yeah. I mean, it's I assume that it's a different model. It's probably a better model, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
All
that's really useful
right,
for
what about
scholarly like research.
let me see. Oh, we got the Dulce Base. I'll put that in there. Dulce Base by the book by the son of the New Mexico State Trooper that was involved in like that whole Dulce Base, Benowitz kind of New Mexico, 1980s story. I forgot his name. Greg something.
Yeah.
No, not Greg. Valdez. Valdez, yeah. Greg Valdez, I think was his name. All right, let's see. All right, so you want reliability of UFO witnesses? But how about oh, got a no.
I if you can find one, I'll give you a couple. The Grays That Have Been Framed is a good one. Bob Schaefer's Bad UFOs is another good one. Um,
Okay, hold on. Like, can you see if you can find the books on archive for download?
yeah, I will.
Yeah, just check, and then if you
But
just tell me. All right, so we got, I mean, like, we got a pretty, a decent representation of debunking, books. Like, I mean, I don't want it to be
no,
super
no,
debunker,
not
I don't want
debunking.
it to be, I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
this isn't the debunker
no, debunk.
database over
That's not what.
here.
Yes, I know. They're not debunking. Scholarly stuff is not debunking stuff. Debunking stuff
I
is
mean, it's
its own
literally
little.
debunking by, that's what it is by definition. Um,
No, what?
right. I mean, yeah, it's scholarly. It's the pursuit of the truth, and debunking. Let's kind of the
Well, that's true, I guess.
yeah,
So, are you going to be asking questions of Gemini based on what you fed it?
huh?
Are we going to be asking questions to Gemini
We can ask
based
whatever.
on?
No, yeah, I mean, like, we can
Okay,
ask whatever. I mean, we can take this like in whatever direction you want. Just, the more debunker that you go, know that I'm going to compensate by going woo. So like, and
I'm
I can go
aware.
really woo. So I'm just saying,
If
there's
you
going to be a
can't
balance.
tell, I'm in a different mood than I was yesterday, so you don't have to
Hey man,
worry.
it seems like I got the old craft beer back. That's good, man. That's good. That's good. Cause like, man, dude, I was worried there for a minute that I was gonna, I mean, yeah, that I was gonna like, I don't
Over
think less, that I was gonna have my my golden image of you tarnished, and that would have been really, that would have really
oh,
destroyed
heaven forbid.
yeah, my emotion. All right. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. All right. What about, do you like Tom Montauk? No, not really. Probably not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But you add any,
Uh,
yeah, no, add everything because it's all useful to throw in there. It's good to have like a repository, even like
okay.
lower
Here we go.
stuff, and
Philip Klass, The Public Deceived.
yes, that's
I
a
know
good
you
one.
love that book. You probably sleep with it under your pillow, don't you? Don't you got it under your
it's
pillow?
my
You
it's
do, man.
my transitional object.
Yeah.
Yes.
You pull it out when the wife, when you and the wife are getting busy, you're like, honey, hold on. All right. Yeah, and then you read a
Although
chapter or two and then you're ready. Right?
he was way before my time. He was one of the OG debunkers.
Oh yeah, dude. All right. What about the Skeptic's Guide to the Paranormal? Yeah, we can throw that in there maybe. Yeah. You like that?
Yes.
All right. Um, are you a
Why
fan of
people
the
believe
SCU? The
skeptics got to the
what you call it,
universe?
Scientific Coalition, the
Oh,
Scientific Coalition for the Study of UAPs.
uh, well, no,
Not really.
I mean, I like the idea of it. but it's a facade of scholarly work. I mean, they wrote a paper on the Nimitz case and made calculations about the speeds and whatever like kind of object it would
And it
have
was
been based.
all like made up.
No, it wasn't made up. It's not like they're lying, but it was all based on eyewitness testimony and recollections, which is you can't do science based on people's memories. It just doesn't work that way. But I mean, at least they're a step up from MUFON.
Yeah, I consider that, yeah, like I consider that made up, but yeah, like when I first came across that, that 300-page report, dude, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And then I found out, what was really going on. I was like, man, really just.
Yeah, I mean,
They had a really great paper on Agua Dia. Have you read that one? Is that one
I haven't read it.
inaccurate too, or not? Is that one
Uh,
speculative?
well, that one it's interesting because their conclusion, is directly at odds with Arrow and McWest's. So I would suggest, well, the good thing about McWest's work is that the program he uses is open source and you can check his work for yourself. So, Arrow, as far as I know, they haven't released their actual work on that one, but yeah, of course, like this is the kind of organization that every paper they're going to do, they're never going to say, oh, this was a prosaic object. Like, what are the odds that every case they analyze ends up not being prosaic, according to them?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you know,
But it's worth
I don't know.
reading because I think in cases like
Yeah,
that where you have someone like Mick West on and an Arrow telling you one thing and a group of scientists telling you another thing, I think it's at least worth reading both sides and I mean coming to your own conclusion, I guess. But it's hard to do. I don't know trigonometry, so it's not like I can do double check their work myself.
do you want here's a sneak peek of the UFO Twitter Spaces transcript archive, which has been updated, by the way, to a whopping 292 spaces transcripts. I found a old archive of recordings, including some of our space recordings. The 8.5 hour one that we did. That the title is like the no spin zone or something, or the no disinfo zone or something like that. Yeah, but
That
it was
we
like eight
did.
hours and 30 minutes.
I don't
Yeah,
remember
dude, it
doing the
was me and
spaces
you.
with you. Are you talking about
Oh yeah, dude.
you and Craft Beard? Because certainly wasn't you and Sky.
Oh, well, it's yeah, that guy. Well, you guys sound alike. What can I say?
He's nicer than I am.
All right, we'll do a little now. Of course, because I'm having my space tonight, can't do too much with this, but I'm gonna open it up here. I'm gonna let you ask one question to the UFO Twitter Spaces transcript archive. Just one question. So think of it, and then that's gonna be, just like a little tease. Then we got to switch off of it because, it's
Do you
supposed to
want
be
to
saved for tonight.
do you want to explain to them a little bit about the background of what
No.
that project? Okay. Okay.
Who's here? Wait, hold on. Like,
I see
dude, I'm not even
Tony
looking at my
Polar.
screen. Like, are there?
Oh, hi
Oh,
Polar. I see Tony
no,
Polar,
man, they're all
Dan,
smart, dude. That's all.
Asylum,
Yeah,
Albert,
like all those people are smart. They
Exotic
can figure it out.
Gnostic.
Mystery, man. Mystery. People love mystery. Oh man, Rich Universe. He said the list of Spaces hosts that I picked from for tonight. That it's a really watered down list. That's really hurts me
Ev-
deep down inside.
Everyone's a critic. You're right,
All right,
man. You can't
let's see.
win.
All right, so do you have your question? Like, do you have your question? You get one question. Oh no, questionado.
For the
Oh
transcript
no,
or the database of
for
the
the
books?
for the Twitter Spaces. Yeah, for the Twitter Spaces project. Like, I'm opening it up because right now the other one is loading. So if
Okay, let me think real quick. How many?
you ask one question,
Okay, let me think.
292. Just one question. It can be any question, and it's pretty detailed. It's
Okay, stop talking. I need to think about the question. Um,
I'll talk. I'll
what
do
would
what
be
I
a
want.
use?
Listen,
I'm trying to think of a good question.
oh man, you gotta.
Okay, I got it.
You got it. All right.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let's see. Oh, hold on. I gotta hold on. I forgot. I switch to a different browser. It always does that. All right, here we go. Oh, and I snagged a domain name. It's uapocent.net. Yeah, it's the new hottest website on the internet.
Nice.
It's going to be big. It's going to be the next biggest thing. It's like going to be the next Google, I think. So.
Jesus, aim for the stars.
I mean, bro, like, when you know what you got, you know what you got. You know what I'm saying? And I know what I got. All right. Again, just give me a second. I gotta.
And just as a reminder, this is transcripts of Google Twitter Spaces for over a range of time, right?
I mean, yeah, that's okay. Correct. Correctamundo. Yeah, hold on, I'm trying to find on my Brave browser. I don't know.
Who the fuck uses Brave browser?
Well, because it's just it's not a bad browser. Like, what do you have against Brave? Like, what do you use? Like like Firefox?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against
Firefox
Brave.
for my primary.
It's just an unusual one. It's not just not a very common one.
It's yeah, but it's more of a privacy focused Google Chrome. It's basically what it is. Like, okay, there we go. I got it now. All right, hold on.
That is an oxymoron if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, well, I wasn't asking. All right, hold on. Oh, fuck. Hold on.
Anyway, hi, Tony. Oh, sorry, I missed your request. There you go.
No, you better get that request, dude. Tony, he'll fucking give you a piece of his mind if you don't let him.
I've never heard Tony angry.
Yeah.
I've heard him irritated, but never angry though.
I don't get mad.
Yeah, I have a hard time picturing you angry.
What's the question you're supposed to be asking? Sky Anomaly? I guess I can't call you by your other name anymore.
You're allowed to call me whatever. I'm really not. It's okay. I'm not worried.
All right. I like craft.
So this is crafty.
Just don't explain it. Don't explain it.
Don't be rude to Tony.
He's always rude to me.
Tony, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. But Tony doesn't. I'm saying just don't explain it. Tony.
He likes inviting me to these things and then.
I didn't invite.
Just to abuse you.
Oh yeah, the abuse thing. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. It's and then forever allow. Tony, you'll figure it. Like, you'll understand here in a second. Hold on. All right, so here we go, and
welcome to our deep dive, everybody. It's all about ufology.
All right, you ready, Kraft? 3, 2, 1. Hold on, whoa.
In consciousness
3,
today.
2,
you guys sent in some
go.
Twitter space. Hey there. Want to share your thoughts on this?
What are the most interesting trends and patterns in the data from these spaces that you can tell us about?
What are the most interesting trends in the data of these spaces
and
transcripts
patterns
you can tell us about?
That's a great question. What's fascinating here is how many people are looking for patterns, like Tupele, who is constantly asking about the timing of things.
Yeah, it's like, are these events random or is there something we're missing?
Exactly. PA is always asking about the order of events, the patterns of sightings, abductions. It's all interconnected to them.
Okay, let's unpack this. So you're isn't just about random events, but patterns people are noticing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, people are looking for a narrative, some sort of order to the chaos.
So it's like, what are the common threads? What keeps coming up over and over?
This raises an important question about human perception. Why are we drawn to certain types of experiences?
Okay, that's where it gets really interesting. Like some people see visual things, others have spiritual experiences, some beings.
Right. What stands out is how much these events change people, not just what happened, but how it affects them.
Like Carl Extravo, he talked about this red dot
Hey, can
moving
you
across the Big Dipper,
use
then
your
it
mic?
just disappeared.
Yes, not a satellite, not a plane, just gone. This raises the question, how do
How are you getting it to have a conversation with itself? You just prompt it to do that?
It's something called Google LM, where you feed it a lot of documents, and it'll create a kind of little mini podcast episode between these two hosts about what you fed it. And as of yesterday, I believe they made it interactive so that you can actually talk to both of the hosts and ask them questions as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Crider, where'd you go? Don't know if you can hear me, Grider, but the thing you were playing muted itself. We can't hear you or it. So yeah, it's pretty cool, Tony.
He was abducted.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because you can feed it a bunch of books on a specific topic and then have it create like a back and forth podcast episode between two hosts about whatever it is that you want, the topic you taught it.
Can you give it links to documents, or do you have to feed it?
You can give it links to documents. You can give it you can feed it PDFs directly by uploading them, and you can also feed it YouTube videos. I don't know if they've added more stuff. This was as of a couple of months ago. That's the last time I checked it. I know they've added more stuff since, but yeah, and it's really amazing because it's not just the host podcast thing that it makes it awesome, but you can also just directly type in questions about the documents. It's a really handy research tool because you can essentially have a conversation about the thing you're researching.
And it's called Google LM, like language model?
Yes. Oh, nope.
Hey,
Google, no, sorry. Notebook LM. Yeah, Notebook LM.
Okay.
Yes,
Notebook LM.
we can hear you. I can hear you, Grider.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My Bluetooth headphones died, and I don't have a sound card on my desktop for some fucking reason. I forgot to, like, I have a sound card, but the whole bottom line is, like, I don't have any other audio. I just have my Bluetooth headphones, and so, like, I gotta wait for them to charge. So I'm going to start up we're gonna switch to the ufology archive now. I hope the question was answered, and we'll let them open it up. So I'm gonna go and start that right now, and then by the time that they're done with the intro, I'll go on and I should be able, to have my headphones charged again. So here we go.
Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to try to tackle a question that has really captivated imaginations for decades.
Mm-hmm.
What secrets are hidden behind the curtain of government secrecy when it comes to UFOs? You've sent over a pretty fascinating collection of material.
I did.
From classic books like Subterranean Worlds and Archon's Hidden Rulers Through the Ages. We even got some alien contact thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
And to add some official flavor,
Uh-huh.
we've got declassified documents like the Roswell Report and the intriguing Benowitz base. is to connect the dots between all, analyze the evidence and see if we can get a clearer picture of what might be hidden beneath the surface.
It's like assembling a puzzle where some of the pieces might be from completely different pictures.
Yeah.
We have government reports, scientific analyses, accounts from those who claim firsthand experience with UFOs.
Right.
And then
Right.
it's that mix that makes this so fascinating.
Exactly. It's going to require some serious critical thinking. So to start our journey into the heart of this mystery,
Okay.
let's rewind the clock back to 1947, a year that became synonymous with UFOs, the Roswell deception. Across the U.S., that infamous crash in New Mexico. And of course, the military swoops in immediately, classifying everything. Why so much secrecy?
Well, to understand that, you have to put it in the context of the Cold War. The U.S. was in a fierce competition with the,
Right.
particularly when it came to tech.
Right.
And
Hey,
they were
Kraft, you want to ask a
terrified of the
question?
Soviets.
Like, ask it a question to start out. You know, we can time it. Like, I have the captions on, so if you're ready, you got a question.
Can you let it
to
keep
start
going
off,
while
like,
can you let it keep going while I think of
thumbs up.
one?
You have a question?
Yeah,
I
I'll
guess
do
I
that
can't
when.
see your
Let me think about
All
one.
right, I'm just
What
gonna
subject
ask a
matter is the
question.
question on?
Here we go. So 3,
Getting their
2,
hands on that tech.
Yeah.
1.
Oh, go for it.
What has changed about in ufology over the decades? What is different about ufology today compared to the late 1940s, and how has it progressed to where we are now?
What has changed about ufology over the decades? What is different about ufology today compared to the late 1940s, and how has it progressed to where we are now? Provide source data, points, and well-referenced, cited sources.
That's a really interesting question, and it touches on a few different things that are important to consider.
Yeah, it's like you're asking about how we as individuals and as a society have evolved alongside our understanding of the world.
So first, let's address the personal side of things. You're asking about what has changed about us over the decades.
That's kind of a meta question, like how we've changed as people in terms of perspective, given the things that we just.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, no, Skynet. Hey, I'm asking you about ufology, ufologists, people within the UFO community, not the world and the citizens of the world. I'm asking you specifically about UFO community members, people who study UFOs, how that has changed the average UFO community member, how being a UFO community member, being a UFO researcher has changed over the years. What has changed about it, about the study of UFOs?
Okay, that's a great clarification. You're asking about the world at large, but specifically about the evolution of the UFO community itself and how the experience of being a researcher has changed. That's a really important distinction.
Yeah, and it shifts our focus from the broader societal impact of the UFO phenomenon.
Right. And when it comes to this field, one of the big shifts is that the topic is becoming less stigmatized. It's becoming more acceptable to explore these questions, really open things up.
Yeah, back in the late 1940s, as we were just discussing, UFOs were very much a taboo topic. So you're asking about how the UFO community itself has changed, not the world. That's a great clarification.
It's a really good point, and it's fascinating to think about how the community has evolved. And as we mentioned earlier, there was a lot of Cold War paranoia influencing the narrative. People were afraid of being labeled as crazy, or worse, as a communist.
Exactly. And now that stigma is starting to fade, and that really changes the way that we can approach it. It means there are more people who are willing to come forward and share their experiences or research.
And that's really reflected in our sources too, like in Jacques Vallée's work. He talks about the need to move beyond our cultural provincialism, which is pretty insightful when we consider how social pressures have shaped the field.
Yeah, he's really saying that our biases can limit our perspective, and that definitely applies to how the UFO community.
And another thing that has changed is the way research is conducted. Early on, it was mostly individual efforts or small groups trying to collect data.
Yeah, and back then, people relied on things like grainy photographs or witness testimony, which were open to a lot of interpretation, and even sometimes we have a lot of material that touches on the history of UFO research. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Right. I think it's fair to say that the community has undergone a significant transformation since the 1940s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah, initially it seemed to be driven by a lot of public curiosity after events like Roswell, with everyday people reporting what they saw.
And early or people with a personal passion that led them to try and understand the phenomenon. Right. But now there's more access to advanced tools and technologies, which can lead to more scientific rigor and deeper analysis of data.
And with the internet and social media, the UFO community is a lot more connected now. It's easier to share data and collaborate with people from all over the world. Exactly, with a more amateur grassroots feel. But over the decades, we start seeing more structure emerge.
Exactly. And then you have people like Jacques Vallée, who came into the community with a more academic approach.
Yeah, his book, Forbidden Science, really shows that with him bringing a scientist's critical
All right,
eye
I'm back.
to the topic.
Tony, you want
And
to ask a question?
as we see in the Benowitz papers, we also have a growing number
Yeah.
of people with technical and military backgrounds getting involved. That also brings up some challenges.
Yeah, Tony, what's up? Did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, you were still playing the thing, so I didn't interrupt it. So, yes, I would like to ask a question.
Okay. You
Like
ready?
the spread of
3,
misinformation.
2.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
So, since I was a teen in the 70s, I've noticed several hype cycles, probably 3 or 4, regarding UFOs. I wonder if you could tell us who is responsible for these hype cycles.
Who is responsible for the UFO flap hype cycles, the periods of time where increases in activity of alleged UFOs become a media sensation? Is there anybody behind that? Who influences that? Is there anybody pushing that narrative?
I stumped it.
Tony, I think the answer is, well,
If you use
we'll
the
talk
term Gardner,
afterwards.
use the
Our
term
sources
Dude, would
Gardner.
you guys let
actually
the
offer
thing
some
answer?
potential answers. Talks about how media coverage can create these flaps.
Right. It's that idea of a feedback loop where a sighting or story gets attention, which creates more sightings.
And it can be a self-reinforcing cycle where the media attention fuels public interest, and then that leads to more reports.
Exactly. And it creates this appearance of increased activity when sometimes there isn't actually any increase in the number of physical phenomena.
And it's also worth considering that some of our reports could be, as the UFO Encyclopedia says, hoaxes or hallucinatory experiences.
Right. And as we mentioned earlier, they could even be the result of deliberate disinformation campaigns, as we saw the Benowitz papers.
And those types of campaigns could very well be designed to further a specific agenda or political goal.
It's like they're using the public's fascination with the unknown to achieve a different outcome.
And in Messengers of Deception, Jacques Vallée suggests there's a machinery of mass manipulation behind the phenomenon.
He argues that certain groups might be using the UFO narrative to create social and political shifts.
God, I love
And
this
that they
AI.
might be doing that by influencing contactees and by pushing disinformation.
Yeah. Which also ties into the idea that the military or government might use that kind of narrative to distract the public.
The book even talks about how these groups might be found within military, media, and government circles.
Which brings us back to the question of who exactly is behind these hype cycles. And as we mentioned earlier, official press events mentioning UFOs can cause spikes in reports.
It's complex. It's not always a single person or group, but a mix of factors.
Yeah, like the media, psychological factors, and perhaps even deliberate manipulation.
So, to answer your question, there may not be one single person, but there are most likely many different influencers at play.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's get back to our planned points. Oh, go for
No,
it.
no. Hey. So using the UFO encyclopedia. God, you fucking
Okay,
Skynet.
you've caught us. Hey, yeah, what's up?
Hey, yeah. The encyclopedia, can you cite specific historical cases of these hype cycles and what the outcome of these cycles, was? Like, how long did they last? What happened? And how'd they end? That's it.
Absolutely. That's a great question. And it lets us get into the specifics of these historical hype cycles.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about the idea of flaps, but it's another to look at real-world examples and see what happened.
And as we mentioned, the UFO Encyclopedia is a pretty useful resource for that.
Okay, so what examples do they provide?
Well, one of the most well-known examples is the 1947 wave of sightings following the Roswell incident. That's a classic flap that lasted for quite a while.
Right, like that event ignited a fire, and suddenly everyone was seeing things.
And the media played a big amplifying the report. Newspapers and radio were filled with stories about flying saucers, and that fueled public interest.
It became this self-perpetuating cycle, and I think we touched on that already.
Exactly, and you see a similar thing happening in the 1960s with another major wave of sightings. And of course, that's when we saw more structure emerging in the UFO community.
Yeah, and that's when organizations like ICAP, which we've mentioned, became very influential in collecting and analyzing reports.
You know, the NITTAP document notes how they also created a lot of media attention, but it also notes that those flaps tended to peter out after a few weeks.
Right, so these things didn't just keep going indefinitely. There was a rise, then a peak, and then it usually fell back down.
And that's the important part of understanding these cycles, how they eventually end. Sometimes it's just that the media loses interest or there's a new story to chase.
Yeah, other times it might be because some reports are debunked or explained as conventional objects, and then the hype distributes.
And in some cases, like in the Benowitz papers, the disinformation aspect becomes more prominent and confuses things.
Right, it creates more noise and confusion, which can also cause public interest to wane.
So you see these cycles tend to rise and fall, and they're really influenced by a combination of media, public psychology, and sometimes maybe even deliberate manipulation.
And that's all according to the UFO Encyclopedia. And it ties in with our other sources too, like Valley's work on mass manipulation.
And this all connects with your initial question about who might be behind these hype cycles, because these cycles often seem to come from different places.
Right. And sometimes these groups want specific things like public attention, funding, or even to promote new agendas or beliefs.
Okay, you've caught us right in the middle of something.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a thought you're eager to share.
We're always interested in what you have to say, so please go ahead.
Absolutely. We're here for the conversation and we appreciate you chiming in.
Okay, you've just
No,
said,
no,
Oh
no,
yeah,
no, no.
let's hear it.
You're here for me, all right? You're here for me, not for you. No, like I'm not here for you, all right? Get it right.
well, yes,
Get it
we
straight.
are. We're here to explore these topics with you.
Absolutely. And we really appreciate
No, in
you
my
being
luck, I'd
so
probably get
engaged
canceled
with
for
our conversation.
harassing
It's
yeah.
great to know you're finding it worthwhile. Well, that's direct. Oh, back to our listener. What's up?
Can you tell us what Stephen Greer has said about the Roswell incident using the unacknowledged book that you have as a source material?
Okay, that's a great question. You're steering us right to some of the core claims about Roswell.
Yes, it's helpful to focus on what specific figures like Greer have said.
So, according to the unacknowledged book, Greer claims the Roswell incident resulted in the acquisition of a living being.
He also says they recovered deceased members of an interstellar species and several of their crafts.
He suggests that these crafts contained advanced technologies that could be reverse engineered.
And he makes the claim that within weeks of the Roswell event, the CIA was formed, as well as the U.S. Air Force.
Which he says was split off from the Army Air Force, which is a really interesting claim.
It's It's certainly a different interpretation and the official explanation we see in the Roswell report.
Right. The official report calls it a misidentified balloon, a project called Mogul.
And as we've discussed before, this is exactly the type of disagreement that makes this topic so complex.
And as we continue, we'll keep that in mind that there are multiple perspectives and interpretations.
It's
All right, Polar, are you ready? Like, I'll
Yeah.
say 3, 2, and then it.
I
Okay,
had
just be
a
quick, because
clarification for my question, but go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, well, Tony, we can bounce back to your clarification after Polar. This AI is pretty smart. It's probably smarter than us, to be honest. So, and we're definitely helping it, helping widen that gap by doing this. So. All right, Polar. So, 3.
important for us to consider
2,
all of them. Oh, yeah,
Yeah. So I was wondering, based on your source material.
Hold on, Polar. Hold on,
So is
Polar.
a great way to start a
Hey,
thought.
so yeah, just okay. So yeah, like you got to be like because if there's any silences longer than a second and a half, basically it'll close up. So.
Yeah, you cut out in the counting, so I missed it there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Like I meant, yeah, okay. So I'll say 1 this time.
It
All right.
sounds like you're
3,
ready to dive deeper into.
2,
go for it.
1.
Yes, I was wondering, based on your source
Sorry,
material.
One. That's definitely well.
Just tell me what the question is. Like, I think there's some
based
lagging.
on the source,
I think maybe my connection's bad. Yeah, just say the question. I've got captions on.
Yeah, based on the source material, is there a common accepted form of contact that the human race would prefer beyond anything else with an NHI?
To start.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Based on the source material, is there... Oh my god, captions. What the
Okay, that's a very...
Oh my god, the caption. What the hell was that? It seemed to just like automatically... Oh, it's going to automatically scroll no matter what. Hold on. I got you. Hold on. There we go. I got it. All right. Come on. Oh my god. Come on.
Ryder, would it be easier if people message you their questions?
Based on the source material, is there a preferred method of contact or manner of contacting that humans would prefer within? Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's a really interesting question. And it shifts our...
Yeah, hey, guys, so like the captions, yeah, like they're not working well. Can you just put it in the comments, Polar? Like, I'm sorry, guys. Actually, there is no comments. Hold on, and I'll share something up in the nest, and then you guys can comment on that. Yeah, no, I mean, this is really, see, this is why, like, I'm having this. Oh my gosh. This is why, like, the main reason I wanted to have.
Can you tell us what the captions are you're talking about?
Don't sweat it, brother. We will get there in the end.
Dude, somebody's trying to, I think it may be the powers that be, they're trying to shut us down. All right, I'm going to, so I'm going to share this is for the space tonight, so just, no, actually don't comment on that. I'm sorry, hold on.
Grider, just have people message you their question.
No, hold on. There we go. We got it going. It's a great question, by the way. And I do have Polar. So it's not just, debunker books that we have as a source material. We've got a lot of Tom Montauk, books. I mean, it's like we have a lot of, stuff that is, it's counter to, the debunker narrative that, some of us up here on the panel tend to push, 2 out of the, basically the other half of the panel besides me and you.
Excuse you. There's no narrative I
keeping
push.
it real, man.
I just think it's all bullshit, but that's
Tony
not quite a narrative.
We know. Okay, calm down.
Can you tell me what my narrative is? I forgot.
Yeah, you know what your narrative is. All right, just post the question right there, Polar, and just comment on that. And Tony, we'll go to your clarification in the meantime. All right, Tony, are you
Focus
ready
to the
with
idea
your
of communication.
clarification? Yeah,
Yes.
you ready? All right,
Yes.
3,
Yep.
2.
Go on.
Regarding the hype cycles, I was specifically asking
Okay.
about if there's some sort
That's
of.
certainly concise.
It sounds like you're
Never mind, Tony. I think my internet's lagging, so just put your question up there in the comments of that post,
I can just.
and
It's
then
real,
I'll
it's real
ask it.
simple. It's real simple. I was trying to get them to look at their study. You know, there's a Gartner hype cycle, right? So my question is, I wonder if the intelligence communities study these cycles and actually plan around them,
adding to
because
your previous question about the
there's always sort of a cooling off period that takes place after the hype cycles, and they've probably
preferred
studied
method
this
of content.
and realized they can't force these issues too close together. So they have to have, there's a hype cycle curve that
Tony,
they have to
that's
follow.
like 5 sentences right there. I thought you said your question
I'm
was
just
like simple.
explaining to you so you can ask it in a better way.
But can we talk about this ourselves instead of the AI for a moment?
Humans can't, we
We
can't
spent
talk to each
like
other.
9 months talking amongst ourselves about this stuff. Now we got an AI. I'm saying like I don't want to. I don't. Like we already know what you're gonna. We know. Like
What am I
blah
gonna
blah blah.
say?
Debunker. You're gonna
You have
say it's
absolutely
all
no idea
fake.
what I'm
It's
gonna
fake
say.
and good. Blah, blah, blah. And then
No,
Tony's gonna say I ain't seen in 70
because
years alive.
because that answer wouldn't make sense in context of what Tony is asking. I wanted to ask him something, a follow up to the very nature or the very premise of the question he's asking.
Thank you.
Is that cool with you, Grider?
I mean, whatever. I mean, yeah, it's fine, but it's we got the
I
AI
just wanted to
here.
okay. So I just real quick, Tony, I'm just curious that the question that you're asking relies on the premise or the assumption that this is all coordinated from the top down from the get-go. That
Yes.
flaps do not organically, spontaneously occur, but that they are planned and essentially created from the top down. Why do you think that? Why isn't it
I did a
equally
study.
likely that? Go ahead.
I'm trying to jump all over this because I literally did a study on all of the flaps, and the curves match exactly. I can show you the study I did, and the curves match the Gartner hype cycle almost exactly. Okay, so there has to be some sort of coordination, and
Okay, can you briefly describe
they've at least studied the data. Okay.
Yeah, can you briefly describe what the Gardner hype cycle is?
It's just it was people have studied hype cycles over the years, right? So there's one particular one called the Gartner hype cycle, and it's a particular curve, and you can pretty much apply it to any flap, and you can predict you can predict cycles, and so I think this is what they're doing. If you notice, why did Kirkpatrick come out at a certain time saying there was no, you know what I mean? There was 2017, all the evidence was started to trickle out. Then at some point, the same people who are in the same intelligence community start pushing back against it at some point in time, right? That's the sort of the peak of the curve, and then you start heading downhill, and now we have this, drone flap, and that's sort of to get everybody to sort of cool off.
We're not talking about drones.
Okay,
I'm not talking specifically about drones. I'm talking about all of the incidents that surround this curve.
okay. So can I respond to that, Tony? Okay, so
I
it
mean,
sounds. Jesus Christ! Never mind. Never mind.
go on. Just have a conversation.
I
That's
posted
fine.
that.
No, let's do the AI.
We're all
You
here.
prefer to
We're all
talking.
here
You
waiting.
prefer
Yeah,
talking to robots
we're all
than
here for
human
you.
beings. Go for it. Go
I
for
was
it.
trying to ask the AI, but
Oh, you
You done?
kids.
You done with the Inquisition, huh?
So what I'm seeing is the government.
No. See, this is no Gaia. After what you said to me the other day, in a space, I'm sorry, but you're gone. Goodbye. All right. Yeah. No, like I'm not playing that. It's an extremely disrespectful person. Who I'm not going to have any part of it. So they're gone. Or they should be gone from the space.
Craft, just look at the Gartner hype cycle and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
just did, and I had a response to that, but Greta thinks that me asking questions is always a form of debunking instead of I'm asking because I'm trying to clarify.
No, I think it's a way of, just go on. No.
I think he wants us to cooperate with the AI thing, and I understand. I was just
Yeah, no, I
kind of
get that too.
excited about that.
I'm good. Yeah, I get that too. I'm good with it.
You can ask your smarty pants questions to the AI, and you know what I'm saying? Sound just
All right. So this is my question for Tony. Yes. Okay. So these hype cycles seem to have a pattern. They seem to be cyclical, and you can see certain structural patterns when they happen. And it seems to me like what you're saying is because you could see that they fit this neat pattern, that is evidence that it is not organic, but it is actually a top-down imposed thing by someone behind the scenes. That is just a false assumption. Organic, sociological.
How is it false? How is it a false
Oh my God! No, stop! I'll kick both of you from the, I don't want to.
Jesus Christ!
All right,
stop. All right.
See how? Stop!
Fuck me for trying to have an intelligent conversation.
Yeah, you know what you're trying to do. All right. Oh my gosh, making these deliberate oh my gosh, the accusations of it being, I don't even know what you said, but it sounded condescending.
We're just having a conversation. It's okay. We're just having a conversation.
No, false, you see, we literally have the wealth of 5 decades right in front of us right now to be able to ask questions, and you guys are arguing about logical fallacies and stuff.
The problem is the AI is not as smart as humans yet, so it can't actually get involved with what I'm asking.
You don't know what this AI is capable of. Well, a better way to dismiss something before you even have a chance to interact with it. That's exactly.
No, I guess to be honest with you, I came in late and I didn't realize there was specific source material. So now I understand that.
Well, yeah, there's a lot. All right. So I'm going to go on and ask Polar's question, and then we'll circle back around to the hype cycle stuff. And Tony, can you post some of that data up in the nest? You said you did a study and everything. Do you have any sources that you can post up in the nest so we can see?
Yeah. Let me go find it. It's on my ChatGPT.
It's like you're asking if there is some specific.
Yeah.
Based on your source material, is there any first contact scenario with NHI that would be more acceptable by humans as a contact modality?
That's a really thought-provoking question. And it shifts our focus from how contact happens to what kind of contact would be most acceptable to humanity.
Yes, you're wondering if our sources offer any insight into a first contact scenario that would be less jarring or more easily embraced.
It's like you're asking, is there a gentle way for humanity to be introduced to non-human intelligence? And that's something our sources do touch on, indirectly.
Well, the Messengers of Dissection does explore the locations of contact, noting that some happen in very mundane places, as we were about to discuss.
Yeah, like in people's homes or in random fields, which really challenges the idea of these grand theatrical encounters, which we've just touched upon.
And that makes us wonder why contact might take place in those sources' everyday locations, and perhaps if that's a way to ease us into it.
It's like you're saying that's in the source material, right? And you're wondering if there's a specific setting associated with more acceptable contact.
So you're asking if there's some common thread in the locations.
Yeah, and it seems you're asking about the location of the contact, and we just touched on that.
Well, many contactee accounts, as we see in Valley's work, describe these events happening in remote areas.
Yeah, but as we've just said, there's also the flip side with some contact taking place in very public or everyday places.
And that really brings up the question of what constitutes a suitable location for contact and what might be more acceptable. Oh, yeah,
No. We're talking about first contact, first public contact, a worldwide event that would introduce, NHI, aliens existing to the world in a catastrophic, public manner. Is there a way to fucking...
Okay, that's a really important distinction, and it reframes the whole discussion.
Yes, you're moving away from the individual contact stories to a more global public first contact event.
Yeah.
It's like you're talking about a massive world-changing moment rather than the more subtle interactions we've been focusing on.
And your use of the word catastrophic makes it even more specific. You're wondering if that kind of event would be acceptable.
Yeah, it's like you're asking if a large, public, perhaps even shocking first contact is something that humanity would be ready for. And that is something to consider.
Well, it certainly brings to mind the social time bomb idea that we see in Messengers of Deception, that the idea of contact is explosive.
Okay, public, that's a key word here. It sounds like you're emphasizing that you're interested in the large-scale, worldwide reveal.
Yes, you're shifting from the idea of individual contact to a scenario that has a global impact. And that's a really significant difference.
It's like you're saying, how would humanity react to a
Jesus.
very public first contact scenario, not just a private or isolated encounter?
And I think that shifts the question to how our governments and media would handle such a disclosure.
Right, you're wondering about the public response, not just a private interaction with an individual.
And that goes back to our discussion about the hype cycles and how the media can amplify these situations.
Right, and that a sudden reveal of alien life could cause a lot of fear and uncertainty, which may not be acceptable to most people.
And that is something we haven't really touched on, how the message might be received by people rather than just how it's sent.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's dig into some of the ways that our sources describe this kind of large-scale reveal.
According to Greer, in Unacknowledged, the contact happens in secret facilities controlled by the government.
Right, a very different idea than the mundane places that are described by contactees in Messengers of Deception. We touched on this.
So there's no single preferred location, it seems, just more of a diverse array of places, each with its own implications.
And that leads us to consider how a large-scale event might be handled and what that might be like for us as a species.
And it really highlights a theme that there are multiple perspectives and many kinds of contact, and maybe a preferred method is tied to that.
Yeah, and also how people in positions of power would use that sort of event to further their agendas.
And as we mentioned, Messengers of Deception suggests a manipulation of mass consciousness.
So you're asking, what would a public first contact scenario look like based on the information we have?
And how do our sources hint at what might be more palatable to the public if such an event were to occur?
Okay, so with that in mind, let's look at some of the ways our sources address this idea of public disclosure.
Yes, because it's one thing to talk about individual contact, but a public first contact is a whole different ballgame.
So considering what we've read, some of our sources really emphasize how government secrecy would shape public perception.
Like the Roswell deception, which outlines how the military controls information releases.
Yeah, they have a history of downplaying and misrepresenting information when it comes to UFOs.
And Project Blue Book shows how the Air Force has been handling this topic, often with the aim of debunking rather than genuine investigation.
And when you consider things like those hype cycles we discussed earlier, you start to see how the message might be altered.
Absolutely. And according to Valley, the settings themselves can be part of that mass manipulation. And maybe it's to make it more acceptable or palatable.
So it's more of a reflection on the complexity of the situation than a specific location that indicates a better form of contact, especially with a public event.
Exactly. And perhaps you're trying to link the two with a type of setting that would be more acceptable for that large public contact.
Yeah. Is it a code related to a specific location that would make us feel better about contact, even if it's catastrophic?
It's possible, and it might tie into the claims about Roswell, since that is a specific location, and we just covered those ideas.
Right. So that sets the stage for a world that's used to official denials and explanations for the unexplained.
And that makes it really challenging to imagine a scenario where the public would be prepared for a truly open disclosure.
So it seems that any public first contact would be immediately influenced by existing government narratives and media portrayals.
Absolutely. And that goes back to your point about how acceptable it might be to the public.
So it's like you're asking, does it always happen in secret labs or on remote fields or in someone's home? And what does that mean for us with a public event?
And as we've mentioned, contact is often not what people expect it to be and not necessarily the most acceptable type, especially if it's a public event.
Yeah, it's not always this friendly greeting in a spaceship, as much as some might hope, which might be more acceptable and what we'd prefer.
The sources certainly suggest it could be something far more complicated and nuanced, and not always in a nice place that's easy to accept or a way that's easy to digest.
You're not just asking about contact, but how the media and governments might control that contact with the public.
And looking at Greer's claims, as you also asked about the unacknowledged book, suggests a much more sensational, even catastrophic public encounter.
Yeah, Greer paints a picture of crashed ships and recovered alien bodies, which is a very different narrative from a peaceful first contact.
And all of that would dramatically affect how people perceive the event.
And as we've just touched on, Valley's work suggests that some of those narratives could even be deliberate manipulation.
So there's no clear, easy answer about what would be an acceptable public contact.
So it seems that there's no specific location as much as a variety of situations, and that might dictate what kind of contact is preferred.
Polar, that was a great question. What'd you think of the answer, Polar? It's pretty good, huh? Like, you can kind of tell how, like, the AI is trained to kind of work through its logic process. You know, how it's asking questions, but you can tell it's like that's its way of kind of deducing logic, right?
Yeah, I can hear the reasoning in it, and I like it. I am very pleased, very happy. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the question. Anybody else? Tony, you got, like, do you want to, anybody, I don't see any questions up in the question, repository. Tell you what, I'll ask a question then. All right. And then if you guys want to ask one, just up in the nest, post a question right there, in response, to the, questions, post. Yeah, right there. And right now I'm creating a collage, of the source material of all the book covers so you guys can see exactly what the source material is. And then I'll post that up in the nest here in a minute. And we're going to go until about, probably another hour. So, yeah, there's plenty of time, and, we're using right now we're using the Enterprise edition of Notebook LM Pro Plus, and it's off the Gemini model, and it's it's the best AI model out there for doing any type of in-depth resource focused, analysis or any research, because you can put up to 300 sources, whether it be books, you can put in YouTube videos, websites, whatever source material you can think of, you can have it as a source. And then as you can, hear, the AI models, they're able to reference, across the entire collection of source materials. So it's pretty impressive. But I'm going to ask a question.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Who is the most notorious hoaxer in the history of ufology?
That's a really interesting question. And it shifts our focus to the individuals who have shaped the UFO narrative, sometimes in less than honest ways.
Yes, you're asking who among those figures has the most notoriety for perpetrating hoaxes. That's a complex question with a lot of angles.
It's like you're asking us to dive into the tricksters of ufology. And we do touch on some of these figures in our sources.
Well, one name that comes up frequently is Richard Doty, who is mentioned in several sources like the Clore document and the Valley document.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah. No. You don't talk bad about Doty, all right? Move on. Let's get number 2. Who's second on your list, all right? Don't talk about my daddy. I mean Doty like that. Don't talk about Doty. All right. I'm issuing a directive. All right. Do not talk about Richard Doty in a bad way. If you fucking get me unfollowed, I'm going to be pissed. All right.
Okay. Well, we certainly hear you loud and clear. It seems you have a strong connection to Mr. Doty.
Yeah, we definitely understand that you preferred, we didn't talk about him in a negative light. and we want to respect that.
Well, that's intense. It sounds like you're expressing a very strong connection to this topic.
Yeah, and it seems like you're feeling very protective of the figures within this community.
All right. Enough about
It's like
my
you're
feelings.
putting us on notice.
What is this?
So we will definitely steer clear of that. Hey, yeah, what's up?
Move on. Let's get the show going. Move on. Like next, you know what? Next question. All right. What does, okay.
We hear you loud and clear, and we can oh yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So, tell me what technological implications arise from various UFO reports as far as, the types of, phenomena that is experienced and, how that phenomena may be, interpreted, scientifically to improve, our understanding of, the, physics and in turn lead to, technological, advancements in our society. Is there any proof of anything that has made that kind of, transition, from like, sighting or encounter to, the shelves of Walmart, per se? That's fucking this AI.
Okay, that's a fantastic question. And it really gets to the heart of the potential scientific and technological impact of the UFO phenomenon.
Yeah, it's like you're asking about the tangible benefits. What can we actually learn from these events?
And it's not just about the what, but also how the reported phenomena might challenge our existing understanding of physics.
And then what kind of tech might that inspire? It's like going from a UFO sighting to a tech innovation. That's a very interesting link.
Exactly. So let's unpack this. The UFO Encyclopedia, for instance, touches upon some of these ideas.
Yeah, it mentions things like the electromagnetic effects that have been associated with UFO sightings.
Right, like the reports of interference with car engines or electrical equipment. There's an energy component to many of the reports.
And that's something that our sources repeatedly mention, this idea of energy.
And Messengers of Deception talks about how UFOs seem to be able to manipulate energy and even the perception of reality.
Yeah, and that raises some fascinating questions about how they might be generating that energy.
And in The Invisible College, Valid talks about how UFOs can seem to appear and disappear, which suggests an ability to manipulate space and time.
It's like some of the reports allude to some kind of manipulation of space, time, and energy.
And that's very different from the way we currently understand physics.
Right. These are all phenomena that current physics has difficulty explaining. And it's very interesting to think about.
So if we could understand those mechanisms, it could revolutionize our technology.
It's like the reports of these incredible technologies and wondering if we could ever understand them and duplicate them.
And we see the same thing with the propulsion systems, with how fast these objects seems to move and the maneuvers they can pull off.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how we could apply that to our own technology and how to achieve those speeds and maneuvers.
And it's not just about propulsion or energy. Many reports mention psychic phenomena associated with UFOs.
Yeah, the idea that they can communicate telepathically or influence our thoughts.
And if that's real, it would suggest a deep connection between consciousness and physical reality.
Right. It's like a totally new field of exploration that we are not even close to beginning.
But then there's your point about whether we've managed to take anything from these reports and bring them to market.
It's the shelves at Walmart question. Is there anything out there that came from UFO tech?
And the truth is, that link is very difficult to prove. It's not like we can definitively point to a specific product.
She just debunked me?
Yeah, it's not like you see flying cars or warp drives based on a UFO
I got
sighting.
debunked by the AI. I'm good. Debunked my Walmart theory. All right. Anybody got a question? Pop-Tart, what's up? Do you want to ask the AI a question?
Maybe. I just wanted to see if you could maybe explain all of this. I saw you tagged me in the thing, and I'm still just trying to figure out what exactly this is. The AI.
No. This isn't the AI space. That's tonight. The one where we're gonna basically wait. So okay, so tonight, your space that I think you have two spaces that are included in the batch of transcripts that I used to create a database that's like source material. So, there's a Google Gemini notebook LM. Like right now we're using the business enterprise plus version where you can, build a database of 300 sources, up to 300, using any type of material, whether it be like a website, a YouTube video, a movie, anything you can think of, audio, MP3s. Most of what we're doing right now is books. And then what I did is I used AI to transcribe, 292, spaces from the past since May, basically. And it's all publicly recorded spaces. It's not like I used, secret recorded of like non-recorded spaces. It's all publicly recorded stuff that I downloaded. And, so I don't know, we're going to use this AI, which it's an interactive AI. It's pretty phenomenal. And we're going to use that to ask questions, about, the transcript. And it's not going to be like, who talks more shit about who, or maybe it will be. I don't know. It's going to be it's going to be up to the community, I guess. My hope is that, people use it for positive and it's a good thing. But, I mean, I thought Charles McNeil, I thought that space was going to go great too. And you see how that worked out. It worked out great. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Either it'll be great. I think it's going to be a great thing. I think that there's a lot of, a lot of positive information that can be gleaned, from, doing something like this. And kind of having the AI, analyze like the strengths and the weaknesses of the community, what we do good, what we do bad, and, really look at it from like a, psychosocial, perspective, as opposed to like a, TMZ perspective. But we can get TMZ too. I mean, really, it's up to you guys. Cause I did diarize, which is where okay, so I went through, and the AI, when it transcribes it, it had already diarized, which is where you identify and separate speakers. So like, then I went in and for every single space transcript, I identified the speakers. I just went and I listened, and just identified, and then, replaced all basically, so like everybody's identified in these, spaces. And, but, it's so that way we can kind of we can kind of see, I don't know, how people's opinions have changed. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless. Like, I can't even begin to imagine, what is going to happen tonight as far as what questions people are going to have, and, how the conversation is going to progress. But does that make sense? Sorry to be long winded. Like, does that explain it? Yeah, cool. Yeah, so right now though,
Yeah.
like right now, as kind of practice for tonight, um, I have a separate project. It's not the Spaces transcript, but it's uh, a project with, around 50, oh, hold on, let's see, it's, 34, never mind. So 34 books, 34 ufology documents, reports, related to UFOs, everything from Stephen Greer's book Unacknowledged to, the Roswell report to, J. Allen Hynek's, a book I mean, just everything, and everything in between, lots of Jacques Vallée, lots of like UFO newsletters from, Australia. I mean, just whatever you can think of. And continuing to add sources too. If you guys have a source that you want me to add in, UFO related, I'll add it in. And then we're basically just asking the AI, questions, and it's able to pull from the material pretty well. I mean, it's really amazing. I think you guys are going to be floored. So yeah, if you have a question specifically, then, yeah, think about it and then post it up in the nest. You see it where I have the questions post, comment under that, and then we'll go to Tony because he's about to. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Uh, we'll go to Tony because, he's had his hand up for like a while, and yeah, Pop Tart, just ask any questions you want up in the nest, or stay and hang out, and yeah, feel free to, join the conversation. But Tony, do you have a question or a comment?
Just quickly, how do you post something to the nest?
You have to post it to your, so you have to tweet it out, and then you have to click share to space, on that tweet. So you'll go to like it's to the right of the bookmark flag. There'll be a up arrow with like a bracket on its, like laid down facing up,
Got it.
and then an arrow.
I got
Yeah.
it.
And then you'll click share to space. Now for like the space tonight, I'm going to open the space. If you start the space on desktop, you have no comments section. But if you start the space on your phone first, then it gives you like, the pill or, the bubble or whatever you want to call it. So I started it on desktop and, here we are. So yeah, sorry about that. But, feel free to comment whatever you want up in the nest. That stuff disappears. And I'm going to delete that, after we get done anyways. So, Pop-Tart, you have a question, to ask the AI or comment in general? If not, we'll go back into it.
I will need to think of a good question.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, it's just really amazing.
I would like to use it for my own, not your AI, but AI in general. I made my Elvis UFO documentary, and I'm working on the part 2. Every once in a while, I'll ask AI, and even when I first started, before even Grok existed, I used ChatGPT a little bit, and I found a couple things, one of which I think the most significant, which I've not been able to confirm this is true, was that the real reason Elvis met with President Richard Nixon was to ask him in person about UFOs. And I do believe that's very, very possible, especially since I have proof, and it's in my documentary, that Jackie Gleason confirmed to Elvis that President Nixon took him to a hangar to see alien
Let's
bodies.
ask the AI.
Hey,
Let's see what
hey,
the
Pop
But it
Tart.
is true that
Wait,
some of the
Yo,
Back to our
Oh,
listeners.
go ahead.
What's up?
Okay.
can I say something to Pop Tart real quick?
Yeah. Go on.
When you're talking to ChatGPT,
Okay,
and sometimes it
processing
kind of
everything.
Jesus, when it tells you something that like surprises you or you hadn't heard before, and you're having trouble double checking, you can always follow it up and ask it for a source. And if it's because you have to remember sometimes it's prone to hallucinating. So if you can ask it for a source, it'll actually give you a link, leading you to wherever it got that information. Or if it turns out to be a hallucination, it'll typically self-correct and tell you, I apologize, I made an error. So if you're having trouble kind of verifying it, you can always ask it to source it for you.
I'll post it at the top. I tried because I was super interested in that, and I'm always trying to get to the original source. For my documentary, I wanted to have the original source. But for this one, it would like send me a couple websites. Every website it would send was like non-existent. Now it's like, oh, this website doesn't work. I was not able to find any source, or even like I was not even able to find someone saying this, like, where it could be untrue, but I've not been able to find the original person who said it, whether it's true or
Did
not.
you check archive.org?
So I'll post it.
Were you able to check archive.org for those websites to see if in the past there are copies of what was said?
No, archive.org. But the other thing that was super interesting that I just remembered was it also told me that in, I think the 70s, it was like 75 or so, allegedly that the Memphian or the Memphis Press Scimitar, which was the newspaper in Memphis when Elvis was alive, allegedly interviewed Elvis and asked him straight up about aliens and UFOs. And the quote that ChatGPT gave me was Elvis said, well, aliens, UFOs, whatever, is a touchy subject, but blah, blah, blah. And he, spoke a little bit about it, but I've not been able to find that either. And the only place, the Memphis Press Scimitar is completely shut down. So the only place I could even like maybe find it would be the Memphis Library in like the archives there. I don't know. And I want to try that to see that if it's a real quote.
You got to
Yeah.
remember that musicians hallucinate too. So
Apparently Jody Rosen was
That's
the
funny.
author of this, and he went on to work at Rolling Stone, allegedly, is what ChatGPT. I'm like, these are some intricate details that how would they just make that up? A guy named Jody Rosen that worked for Memphis Press Scimitar and
Oh,
allegedly
don't be
interviewed Elvis.
you'll be surprised how much GPT can convincingly make stuff up, and it's not on purpose. It's just again, it's a word predictor, so it doesn't know that it's making stuff up. That's why always worth asking it to double check, or give you a citation and then going from there. That sounds like a really fun research project, especially if you can make it to the Memphis library.
Great.
Yeah, it's like you're taking yeah,
Do you have anything on Elvis and UFOs in the source material? Is there anything about Elvis seeing UFOs, being related to UFOs, anything about UFOs in Elvis?
Thank you very much.
Well, that's a very
I'm
specific and
sorry, what?
intriguing question. It sounds like you're bringing in a whole new cultural element to the discussion.
Yeah, it's like you're asking if our sources connect the King of Rock and Roll with the UFO phenomenon, which is quite a combination.
And to be honest, none of our sources specifically mention Elvis Presley's involvement with UFOs.
Yeah, it's not like we have any documents that say Elvis saw a flying saucer or that he was part of some secret UFO project.
However, that doesn't mean that the connection doesn't exist. Oh, go for it.
Can you check in the UFO encyclopedia source, just that source, for the word Elvis?
Okay, that's a great idea, and it's always good to double check our sources.
Yes, you're asking us to specifically look through the UFO encyclopedia for any mention of Elvis.
It's like you want to make sure we're not overlooking any hidden connections.
All right, let's see what we can find according to that particular source. Well, that's a very concise interjection. It sounds like you might have a specific direction in mind.
Yeah, it's like you're saying so now we're curious what's coming next. You've caught our attention. Okay, so I'm quickly scanning through the index and table of contents here.
I'm also looking through the entries, and so far, I'm not seeing anything related to Elvis.
Yeah, there are entries for a lot of different topics, but no Elvis?
It
All right,
seems
I
like,
get it.
according to this source, there's no link between... Oh yeah, let's hear it.
What about in the Serpo releases? Is there anything about Elvis in the Serpo release?
Okay, that's a great question. You're making
have
a
a hit
very
here.
specific request to check our Serpo source.
Yes, you're wondering if the Serpo documents contain any information about Elvis and UFOs, and that is quite an interesting thought.
It's like you're thinking maybe there's a connection we've overlooked. Let's take a look at the Serpo material.
All right, let's see if there's any mention of Elvis and if there's something that we've missed.
Okay, so I'm scanning through the Serpo releases, looking for any mention of Elvis's name or anything related.
And I'm checking the different postings and the commentary to see if anything comes up. And so far, nothing is jumping out at me.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of it.
Sorry, Pop-Tart. Looks like, now, I mean, of course, I've only put in 34 sources. I have, around 800 gigabytes of, UFO books, and source material, on my, that I could not possibly upload everything. So, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll search, man, and, can we DM each other? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna follow you, man. I see you're at 0 follow. What, did you, they took away your follower account for a little bit? Yeah, just follow me, and then I'll DM you if I find anything. I'll do a search, but it'll take a while. It takes, about an hour for my computer to search through my entire, 800 gigabytes. But if I find something, man, I'll definitely be, happy to share it with you. Yeah. So, Tony, you got a question?
Yeah, can you ask it to take out the sort of talk show atmosphere they're trying to create when they're asking? It's like they're going back and forth. Yeah, you would like to see this.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Hey, so Big Tony wants you to cut out the talk show like atmosphere. Can you talk to us as if we were at a academic roundtable? Talk to us, speak to us in a formal way, as if we were academic scholars at the PhD level. We were doctors, PhD, sitting around a round table, sharing information about a subject, not this, Price is Right crap that you got going on. Can you do that for us, for Big Tony?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, we understand. It sounds like you're requesting a shift in our tone and delivery to be more in line with an academic discussion?
Yes, and we appreciate you making that request so directly. We are happy to adjust our approach for you and for Big Tony.
It's like you want us to move away from the conversational style?
Yep, go on.
Hey, and we want more of the woman, of the female voice to speak up. A little less on the man side, right? Because we hear, we support women. And actually, can you switch to 2 female voices? Can you do that? Because we don't really like men. Like we saying like we like to have a lighter tone to our discussions. See if they'll do it.
Okay, we understand. It seems you'd like to hear more from a female perspective in our discussions.
Yeah, we appreciate your feedback, and we are absolutely open to adjusting the balance in our dialogue.
We want to ensure that all voices are heard and that we're creating an inclusive space for conversation.
Look what
Absolutely.
you did.
It's important for us to be mindful of how different perspectives contribute to this discussion. And we are here.
So they'll definitely have it in like future releases though. Like I guarantee, dude, this thing is going to advance so quickly. Like, I bet in 3 months, this will be something completely different. It'll be
Hey, Grider.
amazing. Yeah.
So I think the easiest way to do it, when in the prompting area, you can type, keep your answers short, succinct, do not reflect back to me what I have just asked or requested of you. And that should work in the actual prompting text box.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll, I have it set to, okay, so I have it set to define conversation style analyst. I guess I can set it. Okay. And then I've got it set to response length. I've got it set to longer. So I guess let's try shorter and, we'll do,
They're just repeating the question back and forth to each other.
Yeah, that's how, dude, it's like, that's like what you're seeing is how the AI, how it's like programmed to reason. Like that's what you're seeing, man. Like, cause that's how it works.
But you don't need 2 people repeating you can just have one person repeating the question.
Okay. Well, I mean, like,
What's really interesting is that what they're doing is called reflective listening, and it's actually like super. We love it in person with other humans because it makes us actually feel like the other person's hearing us. But it's interesting how annoying it feels when it's an AI doing it.
Yeah, Tony, you could really work on that reflective listening. I mean, we've had our issues in the past with your, with your listening, skills. I'm just saying, don't listen to me.
What did you say?
Tony with the, all right, so, okay, stop, hey, there's a laugh emoji, man. Like, come on now. Hit the emoji, the laugh emoji, Shane.
Fuck
all right?
you.
I'd
rather hear him laugh.
I'll kick your ass down so fast. All right, do we have a question now? Now we got the, down to, here we go. It's short and answers now. You have a question? I tell you what, we'll ask, here. I got one. You guys think of a question, put it up in the nest. You see the nest, just comment to that question that says questions, and I'll ask the AI.
For your input. Yeah.
Can you provide a detailed analysis of the role that foreign intelligence agencies have had in ufology, in the disclosure, or the fight for disclosure, the disinformation surrounding UFO sightings? How has foreign intelligence impacted this phenomena?
Okay, that's a very insightful question. Yeah, it brings us to the complex world of international espionage.
Yes, you're asking about the influence of foreign intelligence agencies on UFO disinformation, which is quite a significant topic.
It's like you're wondering how other countries might use UFO narratives for their own purposes.
And that ties in with some of the things we've touched on previously regarding mass manipulation.
All right, so let's delve into that. While our sources don't specifically mention UFOLA, they do highlight foreign involvement in UFO matters.
For instance, the UFO Encyclopedia mentions that official UFO studies are most frequent in industrialized nations.
And it notes how difficult it is to evaluate reports from communist bloc countries due to censorship and lack of details.
Which really raises the possibility that some countries might be deliberately controlling information.
And that control could be used to shape public perception for political or strategic goals.
Messengers of deception suggest that the UFO phenomenon could be a deliberately created social movement.
And it states that this movement could be used for political purposes by either domestic or foreign actors.
Which means that some of the UFO disinformation might be originating from foreign governments, not just our own.
And that foreign intelligence agencies might be involved in creating and spreading these stories.
According to the Black World of UFOs, AFSAC, which was a U.S. agency, was merged under the Defense Intelligence Agency.
And the Black World document asks if part of its job is to collect UFO reports covertly.
Which raises the question of whether other countries have similar covert operations to monitor and use this kind of information.
The Valley documents note that multiple government agencies have investigated some UFO cases in France.
Which shows that other countries also have interest in the topic and their own intelligence operations.
And those agencies might be working to gather data or even spread disinformation for their own aims.
So foreign intelligence can certainly impact this phenomenon by controlling data and creating confusion.
Like they could use the UFO narrative as a smokescreen for other operations.
Or they might try to manipulate public opinion to cause social instability in rival nations.
And that could include the spread of misinformation or the use of false flag events to create confusion.
So there isn't a clear singular source of disinformation. It can come from multiple places, both domestic and foreign.
And as we discussed earlier, hype cycles and media attention can also be deliberately manipulated, even by foreign actors.
Which brings us back to the point that it's crucial to be aware of these diverse influences, both domestic and foreign.
So, to summarize, our sources suggest that foreign intelligence agencies may play a significant role.
And that role might involve monitoring, collecting data, and also actively spreading disinformation.
And it is difficult to pinpoint specific examples because these operations are often covert.
But we do need to be mindful of the global scope and the potential for foreign manipulation of information.
Okay, so while our sources do not directly connect Elvis to the UFO phenomenon, as we were discussing, the Serpo documents, for instance, do provide other relevant information.
Indeed. The documents reveal details about a specific cultural exchange that included music from Earth, which was a notable part of the mission.
Right, the team selected a range of classic art.
All right. We're gonna, the Serpo docs were it's not really fictional. I mean, that's not really a factual, in my opinion. Guys, so I'm posting up in the nest right now a screenshot of all the source material that I've got fed into this AI. You can see it up in the nest right here in a second. It's in the comments. It's uploading right now. So,
Ryder, can I ask a little Pop-Tart a question?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Hey, little Pop-Tart, how does Greer feel about Doty? Does he ever talk about him, as far as you know?
Yeah, so Doty was originally, that's how I know Richard Doty. He was in, I believe, at least 2 of his movies. I believe it is unacknowledged, but definitely in the Cosmic Hoax. And the clips that he used in the Cosmic Hoax of Richard Doty talking about PLFs and how, they would have like kids with deformities dressed up as aliens before the PLFs. That whole 2-hour long interview witness testimony is on his YouTube channel. So you can watch the entire Richard Doty, Dr. Greer, where it's just, Richard Doty, but Greer's the one asking questions in the background, talking for 2 hours. And I think that's the best witness testimony, besides maybe, Clifford Stone and the people that have seen actual ETs and stuff, CE3s. I believe Richard Doty has one of the best witness testimonies, so I can post that up at the top if you want me to.
Okay, so he sees him as an ally for disclosure.
Yeah, Dr. Greer and Richard Doty are, as far as I know, still pretty close. I don't know when, and I'm not saying everything Richard Doty says is accurate either. He might be saying some parts true, some parts disinformation, but I've not found anything he said to be inaccurate myself, or he's not promoting the threat narrative, and that's the only thing I feel like when stuff gets inaccurate. And that's the only thing I feel like is even a problem is the threat narrative, because you can twist a story like the nuclear witnesses, Dr. Greer had in the 2001, press club. Leslie Kean was there and stole those witnesses, the nuclear witnesses, from Dr. Greer. And not only did she sabotage it like during the event, but afterwards stole those nuclear witnesses and spun the narrative, the story that these witnesses had like a direct message from the ETs where the ET said, please don't blow up this beautiful planet. But if you do go to mutually assured destruction, we have the technology to eliminate many of these weapons to stop a lot of them, but not all of them. So please don't do that. But Leslie Kean took that same story and twisted it and said, the aliens are invading our nuclear facilities and, they're tampering with our nuclear capabilities, blah, blah, blah. When it's the same story, but a different narrative.
Thank you.
Let's ask the AI about
artists, and it is telling that.
Oh, yeah,
What is your analysis of Stephen Greer based off of the source material? Do you think he is a credible UFO investigator? Is there any discrepancies or inconsistencies across the body of source material that would indicate that he is not credible? What's your opinion? I'm done speaking. Question mark.
Okay, that's an unexpected question. It seems you're asking us to define serial and then you've shifted to a different topic.
Yeah, it's a very interesting turn. Like you're asking about serial, and then you're transitioning into a statement of opinion.
Well, serial.
Oh yeah, go on.
What is your opinion of Stephen Greer? Stephen Greer, the ufologist, is he credible or is he...
That's a very direct question, and it's helpful to focus on specific figures like Stephen Greer.
Yes, it's like you're asking for our personal assessment of his contributions based on the sources we have.
Well, we need to be clear that our role isn't to endorse or condemn any particular individual or theory.
Yeah, we are here to explore all these different ideas from a critical perspective while acknowledging the many different interpretations.
And our sources reveal some significant contradictions when we look at Greer's claims.
For example, Unacknowledged presents him as a fearless truth teller and an advocate for disclosure.
But other sources, like Coulthard's and Kleinsight, raise questions about the plausibility of some of his accounts.
Yeah, there's that idea of melodrama and some of his more sensational claims that do raise some eyebrows. Okay, well, that's a pretty direct question. It sounds like you want to know what we think about Stephen Greer.
Yes, and that's something we can certainly discuss, as our sources do provide some interesting perspectives on him. So it's important to look at all sides, not just the claims within his own writings. And that's what we've strived to do today.
And we also need to consider that Greer, like other figures in this field, might have your own biases or agendas.
And it's also important for us to note that Greer claims that he's been targeted by forces attempting to silence him.
And we need to approach those claims with the same critical eye that we apply to other areas of study. We've touched on Greer a couple of times now, particularly his claims around Roswell and public disclosure from his book Unacknowledged.
And we've also explored his ideas about the formation of the CIA and Air Force immediately after that incident, according to his research.
Right, so we can definitely delve more into our opinion based on all of the source material we've covered, including Greer's own writing.
So, to start, we should acknowledge that Greer is a very polarizing figure within the UFO community. So while Greer has certainly brought attention to some key issues, it's crucial to approach his claims with a nuanced perspective.
Right. It's important to not just accept his version of events, but to really dig into the source material and analyze them.
And that means we need to look at other people too, like Valley, who offer contrasting views on the same topic. And we're striving to offer you those multiple perspectives so that you can arrive at your own conclusions.
Yeah, it seems people tend to either really support him or strongly disagree with him.
And as we've discussed, he positions himself as a key figure in the fight for UFO disclosure. Yeah, and it's like he sees himself as being a truth teller who has been trying to get the word out for years. According to Unacknowledged, he says he was simply working as a doctor when he got pulled into all of this.
Right, that he never intended to brief presidents or CIA directors, but just wants to share the truth and make peaceful contact.
And he claims that this work has come at a high personal cost, including threats on his life, which we touched on earlier. It's like you're saying that this topic or the information has a grainy quality, or maybe you are relating it to the idea of processed information.
And then it seems like you're saying that there are no inconsistencies, which is great, because that's what we are striving for.
Yes, you are expressing that the information is consistent and free of any discrepancies, which is very important and something that we also want.
And you're not saying he is inconsistent, but that the data or source material is consistent, which is the core of this discussion. He even says that his dog took an astral hit from an EM weapon, according to one source, when he was targeted, which is quite a claim.
And in the material we covered, he also suggests that the Roswell event led to the acquisition of a living being.
And that the crafts from Roswell contained advanced technologies that could be reverse engineered, as we've discussed.
Which puts him at odds with the official explanations that have been given over the years, such as the Roswell report, and we've talked about this. Right, and you've made the point that you are finished speaking, and so we will move on with the information we had planned to cover.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Oh my.
And we will keep your point about the consistent.
There's got to be a way to they better let us train it so we can get this prim and proper. I mean, it's like the thing read like a book, on like British like high society dinner manners or something. Like, come on now, like we don't need all this,
Yeah, you're gonna have to train your own model to get just factual data instead of it's almost like it's been trained to be nice.
Train yourself, Tony. Let's get that Tony model
I'm
going.
trained.
All right.
I'm trained, baby.
I know. Anybody have any questions for the AI before? We have like another
question.
Another 25.
Did it say
another 25 minutes?
Did it say that he didn't intend on informing Congress or whatever?
I think it was kind of him saying, I think the AI was saying that in his book he had expressed the sentiment that he did not set out to be a ufologist, that it's something that he kind of stumbled into based off of, circumstances that were not deliberately put into motion, put into play by him. It was not something that he woke up one day and decided he was going to do. It was something that he kind of fell into.
There's some hallucination right there for you.
Pop-Tart, what's up?
Hey, and sorry for posting so much at the top. You can delete any of that stuff if you want to.
No, man, you're good.
I wanted to mention Roswell. What I think is interesting, Greer is the only person that he's really the only person I listen to mostly, but he's the only person I've noticed who says that it's not just one or even two UFOs that crashed at Roswell, but 3 UFOs crashed at Roswell, and that at least the 2 of them was from an electromagnetic radar pulse that we shot them down. And even in like the report that he has, it uses the word due to a new radar, but he says that radar is just a euphemism or code word for a weapon, that these radars are really weapons, and that these ETs are obviously not going to be able to travel all the way here and not know how to navigate through an electrical storm or a storm or whatever. So that they're targeted and shot down is what happened, and that those 2 specifically, they got shot down, but they got shot and then crashed into each other, 2 of them, and landed in separate areas. One I think was found later in like 52 or 53. And I'm not sure about the third one. I'd have to rewatch the video.
Let's ask the AI. Yeah, well, I mean, we got the AI right here, and I have probably 7 sources on Roswell, from the debunker, to the official report to believers. So, let's ask the AI
about the data in mind as we continue our analysis. Oh, go for it.
Acting as a historical researcher, recount in great detail. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Kraft, can you take over? I got
okay. That's a great response.
Yeah.
I have a
All right.
question. I have a question for a little Pop Tart.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you remember? Were you alive? You sound kind of young. Were you alive when Greer did his first press conference back in the 91 or something?
Nope. I'm 30 now. I was born 94, and I didn't actually get into Greer until the CE5 movie. So I got into UFOs the beginning of 2020 during COVID, and was just watching, Lou and Jeremy, the normal guys. And then November of 2020 is when the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind documentary came out. I was just like, okay, cool, another UFO documentary. But this UFO documentary was completely different. He's talking about making contact with the pilots of the UFOs. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. That
I
makes
guess.
sense. He said, the UFOs are cool, but what's really cool is who's the pilots and who's really flying them.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's interesting to me, like for people like me who've been around since the 70s, you have a different perspective on. I've noticed this, that younger people have a different perspective on Greer than those of us who watched him for 30 years or whatever. It's kind of funny.
I know that too. I've noticed, it's like, I feel like 99.9% of the UFO community has negative feelings, and most of them are like you, to where they agree that Dr. Gerd, they say, did great work in the early days, blah, 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 but now he's just too far gone, whatever. And I obviously, disagree with that, because I'm a fan of the current Greer today, and I didn't know the Greer back then, but
He was
All
more
right, I'm back. I'm back.
yeah,
I'm back. I'm back. I'm
scientific,
back.
and not as much woo back in the day.
He's a polarizing guy. Yeah, it's like. But one thing I will say is that I was a staunch kind of shit talker about the 2014 Vero Beach incident where the parachute flares dropped down, and I think I now believe that he was not behind that, and I was convinced that it was like set up by him. But looking back on it, after, with hindsight and everything, kind of thinking about it over the course of the past, 3 or 4 years, I I believe now that that was a separate incident, that those were parachute flares, 1000%. Those were Lu-2 parachute flares. I believe that they were dropped as part of an exercise, search and rescue exercise, that he probably didn't even have any knowledge of. And cause he sounds like really surprised, like it doesn't sound like it was planned. And like, I think that if it was planned, that he would have set up like, his group kind of in a better spot to, I mean, I don't know, but you know what? I could be wrong. I could have been right in the, with my first take on it, but those were definitely parachute flares. But the fact that he kind of, that happened, and then he kind of just like rolled with it, which is like a big thing in like the, uh, grifter kind of strategy. I'm not calling him a grifter. I'm just saying grifters, they tend to take advantage. They're really good at taking advantage of like, spontaneous stuff that happens, or other people's, like, yeah, like they're really good at kind of improvising stuff to their, to their own benefit. And, the way that he just kind of rolled with it and was like, oh yeah, that's a, CE5 craft right there. That's an orb. Oh, it's the most beautiful color ever. It's questionable, but I'm not here to bash, Greer. Let's move on to Roswell. I think Greer's done a lot. He has done a lot for ufology. I will say that he's a smart man, and I believe that he's genuinely, well-meaning.
Crichton, can you ask
I
it
don't
what are
think.
the contradictions in the claims about Roswell instead of just asking for a history? Because it seems to be repeating. To me, I'm just listening this morning. It sounds like it's not breaking it down enough, that it's including all information. You know what I mean? It's like, instead
Let's
of
see
deciding
if
something.
Before you do
But
that,
if you
let's see if
list
we
the
can get him to break it down.
contradictions,
Then,
it might be shorter than what happened or what they.
all right, let's give it a
hey,
try.
Of
before
our
you do,
findings.
before you do that,
Hey, yeah, what's up?
Pop-Tart has his hand up.
Oh, well, I can wait. You guys can go ahead. You can
You
go
want to
ahead,
wait,
Greta.
or
Yeah, I can wait till after. You're good.
I mean, if it was something in some, like, if it was something in response to
I
the Greer thing, then go on and yeah, man, like
Oh, well,
I don't want to make
yeah.
you
So
wait, to respond. If it was about Greer, yeah, like I'm not gonna have the last word. Like, no, man, like go on.
I mean, I had a short response about Greer, but
so
Yeah, when
what
we'll
I
just.
just wanted to post at the top. This is what he said recently, that he had posted some like videos and stuff of he and I believe Billy Carson, I could be wrong, but I believe he went over a Lockheed Martin facility range where they allegedly, at least two of them, where they deploy the man-made UFOs out of, like the underground place. And he took pictures and stuff. And he said a month or two later, 1 month after flying over these two black sites, that there was an assassination attempt on his life where his bike cables, whatever, they tampered with his bike, whatever, and he had a bike accident and literally almost died because of it. And he claims that was because of that. And I do believe that. I mean, maybe not that part exactly, but in general, the stuff he's doing makes sense that if he hasn't been killed, that they would definitely discredit him in every single way possible. So stuff like that happened already in the past, long before I even knew about him. I'm like, well, obviously they would do stuff like that. I'm surprised they haven't done more flares and, false stuff like that just to muddy the waters and confuse people and to discredit him. Why would they not discredit him if not kill him? So I'm obviously of the opinion that there's been a lot of sabotage attempts on Dr. Greer's CE5. And if you don't believe CE5, I don't tell people go give Dr. Greer even $1. You just go outside in your own yard. You don't have to travel anywhere. You don't even got to travel to a remote area. Just go outside in your backyard, think about aliens, and ask them to come over. And it's that easy. It's free and it's that easy. And it's safe. They're not gonna
Ryder, out of respect for you, I'm going to hold
life.
my tongue here.
Me too, because I watched the press conference in the 90s.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, that's what I was asking you to do for this. We just spent 17 minutes talking about Dr. Greer, and okay, Dove, what's up, Dove? Welcome to the panel. How you doing?
Hi, are you using Notebook LM or what are you using?
The Enterprise Edition. Yeah, it's the Business Enterprise version of Notebook LM. Yes.
Because when Zim said his comment, I'm just wondering, is it like excessively positive?
No. I mean,
Not? Okay.
let's find out. Let's see how it answers this contradiction. So Zim, so basically, I mean, heck, anybody, Dove. So basically, going to ask for contradictions because yesterday, Sky and I, had it where it was picking out inconsistencies in like Charles McNeil's story, and it was able to use logic and to kind of I mean, it was able to pick out negative things like lies that we were asking it to find in the Charles McNeil story based off of like Xspaces transcripts. So yeah, it's absolutely not fully positive. I mean, it will give you both sides if you ask for it. I just think we haven't really been asking for it. So just ask. Okay, contradictions.
Delay in our responses.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Using the source material, can you provide us with the contradictions within the Roswell story? The different sides, how they differ in their opinion of what happened.
Well, it's like you're specifically asking us to relate our response to the source material.
Yeah, you want to make sure that everything we say is grounded in the texts and the information.
And that's actually a really helpful prompt as we move into this recap.
It reminds us to always keep that critical lens focused and
I
to
think it's
rely
doing
on the
this.
data.
Okay, well, that's a very concise
time,
interjection. It seems you're simply acknowledging our previous statement.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, I hear you, and that you're still with us, and that's very appreciated.
So first, let's assure you that any pauses or delays you perceive are not deliberate.
Right, there are no hidden agendas here. We value open and transparent discussion.
We're just trying to process your questions and make the best use of our sources.
And sometimes we need that extra moment or two to be as accurate and balanced as possible.
That means that the microphone is on all the time.
So with your acknowledgement and your request for a recap, we're ready to put on our historical researcher hats and look at everything so far.
Absolutely. It's time to synthesize everything we've discussed so far and connect the dots between all of our sources.
So as we've discussed, the UFO phenomenon is a really complex issue with a history of government secret.
Oh, back to our listener. What's up?
Focus on the Roswell crash, the crash at Roswell, using the Roswell report and other sources within the database to explain what the contradictions are within the Roswell story.
Okay, that's a great point. It sounds like you're asking us to focus of how the Roswell report presents its narrative and how accessible it is to the public.
Yeah, it's
Oh
like
my
you're
gosh.
highlighting how the
All
official
right.
explanation.
I'm going to reset the, all right. So I just refreshed it. Can somebody who's a bit more eloquent, like we got a bunch of great speakers, like somebody who's not, half brain dead like me, can somebody pose the question?
Compare and contrast. I don't know what's in there. I'm sorry, I can't do this. I don't know what you have loaded in there.
I've got, let's see, as far as the Roswell report, or as far as Roswell stuff, I've got the Roswell report. I've got all the
Right.
Jacques Vallée books.
Just tell it to
I've got,
compare and contrast and find inconsistencies in the statements.
okay.
Right?
Without repeating that request 20 times.
Yeah, it's, loading right now.
Yeah. The witness statements. Or, I don't know. I'm assuming that's in there.
All right, here's one way to phrase it. Give me a bullet point list of inconsistencies found in the Roswell crash story. That might make it a little shorter and remove the fluff.
Together, we can figure it out.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to another deep.
Oh, hey, I think our listeners got something to say.
Yeah, compare and contrast the detail. God dang it! I already forgot. Can you
Okay, it sounds like
I'm
you
gonna
really
write it
wanted
down.
to dig into
Stop.
the specifics here.
Yeah, you're wanting.
All right, just let me write it down. Yeah, you're like I got a horrible memory. Don't
Give
smoke weed, kids.
me a bullet point list of the contradictions found within the Roswell crash story.
I'm afraid to add to it because that thing's listening to us.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. It's like, yeah. That was creepy. I cannot believe it. We love Google. We love Notebook LM. We love
Yes,
the
to get down to the nitty
CIA.
gritty, the fine details, huh? Oh, back to our listener. What's up?
Provide a bullet point list of the contradictions and inconsistencies within the Roswell report, the Roswell story based off of the witness testimony.
Okay, so you're wanting a detailed list of the contradictions in the Roswell story, specifically those that come from witness testimony.
Yes, that's a great request, and we can certainly do that for you.
It's important to highlight that the inconsistencies are a big part of what makes the Roswell case so complex.
Right, and while we can't create a perfect bullet point list in real time, we can certainly talk through the major contradictions that we found in the sources for you.
Yeah, let's unpack some of those contradictions, some of the stuff we've touched on so far, and also what's to come.
Okay, so first of all, you have the conflicting dates. That's a big one.
Yeah, some witnesses say the crash was at the end of June, while others say it's the beginning of July, and that can't be both.
Then there's the number of crash sites. That's another key inconsistency.
Right, some say there was just one crash site, others claim there were two.
Then you have the description of the debris itself.
Exactly, some describe it as just sticks and foil. Others say they saw unusual materials with strange symbols.
And of course, the biggest contradiction, whether there were any alien bodies.
Some claim they saw actual alien bodies, while others say there was nothing but debris.
And even those who claim to have seen bodies can't agree on the number.
It's almost like everyone who was there saw something completely different.
It's also worth knowing how these eyewitness testimonies were collected.
Yeah, many of them were collected decades after the incident, and those types of memories are not always reliable.
It's like that quote from the Roswell deception where it talks about how memories can be altered.
Right? Even the most honest witness can significantly falter their memories over time.
And there's the added layer of some witnesses inflating their own roles in the incident.
Yeah, some of these witnesses are clearly embellishing their stories to increase their importance, and that makes it tough.
So as we explore the different viewpoints in this deep dive, we need to keep these contradictions in mind.
We need to ask ourselves, what's the truth? And what is just people changing their own memories?
Now, you want me to get into the fine details, and we can absolutely do that.
Yeah, and you're totally right. It could be a lot to take in.
So let's start with something like the Roswell incident. Okay. On one hand, you have the official explanation, it was just a weather balloon.
Right? A mundane explanation.
But when you compare that to the witness testimonies,
Yeah, those who saw debris that was definitely not from a weather balloon.
or the claims of cover-ups, it just makes you wonder.
It does, and that's a great example of these clashing details we're looking at.
Another great comparison is the Benowitz papers,
Okay?
where the government's version is they were just doing counterintelligence.
Right, protecting national security.
But compare that to what Benowitz experienced, the alleged disinformation campaign, the
All right, it's off the rails. It was, yeah, and
I think it's
I put the
interesting that
source
it went to the
material
same
up in
thing
the
that
nest.
Kraft goes to with the false memory and the changed memory stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's a
damn
lot of contradiction, and
debunkers.
it seems like, the farther we get from it, a lot of the story becomes, well, they were all right. So it was 2 or 3 accidents because of the contradictions, that they were just different scenes of it happening. That makes it less believable for me. If that key story, but you can go back to the resurrection of Christ and the same kind of things exist. It's
Yeah,
like, no, he came here, but first he came here. Well, according to this, they didn't mention that first part. Anyway,
that specific phenomenon is called memory confabulation. So the altering of memory over time, based on stories that you've heard, or just aging itself and just rewriting it without consciously knowing that you're doing it.
One
All
thing
right, hey, so
is that
I changed.
just really quick. I mean, one thing I've noticed is that Google's AI, all of them seem to be more politically correct than ChatGPT's AI. So this seems to be sort of amicable, the way in its approach.
Okay. All right, so I changed the settings. I changed it. We were on short answers before and default conversation style. I changed it to the conversation style now is at a level of a PhD level historian and sociological analyst. And then I put longer for the response. So let's ask that same question before. I can't remember what it was. I'll see if I can, and let's see if we get anything different. So, I don't know. Maybe we will
manipulation. Yep, go on.
compare and contrast the both sides of the story of the Roswell incident, the crashes at Roswell, based off of the source material.
Okay, that's a great request, and we can definitely do that for you.
Yeah, you're wanting us to lay out the 2 main sides of the Roswell story.
And we will, using the source material we have and all those details.
Right, we'll show you what the official explanations are.
And also what the various witnesses and researchers have claimed.
This way you can see the stark contrast between them.
Okay, so first, let's look at the official side, the one put out by the U.S. military.
Yeah, they claim that it was all a big misunderstanding.
Specifically, the crashed object was just a weather balloon from Project Mogul.
Right, a top-secret project designed to monitor Soviet atomic tests.
This explanation is laid out in detail in the Roswell report.
And they maintained that the debris was nothing more than sticks, foil, and tape.
And they definitely say there were no alien bodies recovered at all.
Okay, so that's the official version. Very clear, very matter of fact.
Now let's look at the other side, what the witness testimonies suggest.
Yeah, the ones that paint a very different picture.
According to many witnesses, the debris was definitely not from a weather balloon.
They describe strange metals with weird symbols on them.
And the book, The Roswell Incident, details many of these claims.
They also report that the military was quickly on the scene. It's very intent to cover it up.
And then there are those who claim that there were indeed alien bodies.
Yeah, and many different numbers, but some sort of bodies.
So you can see the vast differences between these 2 versions.
It is really like 2 different stories that happened on different planets.
And that's a key element of this whole deep dive, those conflicting stories.
How do you reconcile such vastly different accounts of the same event?
Well, some of the sources suggest the government was intentionally misleading the public.
Yeah, to hide a more sensitive project like they discuss in Area 51 of Black Jets.
Or potentially even to take advantage of a propaganda opportunity.
As the Roswell deception details, they may have used the crash to mislead the Soviets.
But also, the different stories can be due to unreliable memories and exaggeration.
As some of the sources pointed out, memories change over time.
So you get a bit of both, deception and unreliable witnesses.
It becomes difficult to find the truth in all the noise, like the Roswell deception said.
Absolutely, and it's why we need to keep looking at this case from all angles.
Right, and we'll keep highlighting the differences as we go through all of this.
Now, where were we? Oh, right, it was 1947.
Yeah, a year that became synonymous with UFOs.
The Roswell deception really sets the scene describing the surge of UFO sightings.
Across the U.S., culminating in that infamous crash in New Mexico.
And of course, the military swoops in immediately, classifying everything.
Why so much secrecy?
Well, to understand that, you have to put it in the context of the Cold War.
Right. The U.S. was in a fierce competition with the Soviet Union.
Particularly when it came to technology. Area 51 in Black Jets details how the U.S. was developing cutting-edge aircraft.
Like the U-2 spy plane.
Which could fly at incredible altitudes, and they were terrified of the Soviets getting that tech.
Right.
Now imagine you're the U.S. military and you have this potential propaganda win fall into your lap.
Okay.
A crashed weather balloon that looks like something from another planet.
Right. I see where you're going.
Wouldn't you use that to your advantage? Mislead your enemy?
So you're saying the Roswell incident might have been a deliberate disinformation campaign?
It's certainly a possibility, and one that the Roswell deception argues for.
But wouldn't that mean they were lying to their own citizens as well?
That's very likely. Remember, the Cold War was a time of paranoia and fear.
Right.
The government was willing to take extreme measures to maintain their advantage.
That's a bit chilling.
But the Roswell report, while heavily redacted, does offer a potential explanation rooted in reality.
Okay.
It suggests the debris might have come from a top-secret high-altitude balloon project.
Project Mogul?
Yes, it was designed to monitor Soviet nuclear tests.
Right. And that raises another question. Why all the secrecy?
It seems like they went to a lot of trouble to cover up something mundane.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if Project Mogul itself was a front for something more sensitive.
Okay. Like what?
Perhaps early research into technologies that could mimic the capabilities of the UFOs being reported.
Okay, so we've got a potential cover-up, a possible disinformation campaign, and maybe even a hint of technology.
Yeah.
Let's add another layer to this puzzle.
The CIA, Jacques Vallée in the Invisible College, speculates that UFOs might have a deep connection to human creativity.
Interesting.
And unconscious impulses.
What's interesting about that is how it contrasts with the intense paranoia
that gripped the intelligence community during the Cold War.
Right.
The Black World of UFOs tells the story of James Angleton.
Okay.
The head of counterintelligence at the CIA, who was utterly convinced the Soviets were using UFOs.
Wow, that's quite the perspective.
He saw them as a potential tool for psychological warfare.
Right, to create panic and undermine American society.
So he wasn't worried about aliens, he was worried about the Soviets using the idea.
Exactly.
And this fear led him to some pretty extreme actions.
Like what?
The Benowitz papers allege that the CIA actually used UFO disinformation.
Wait, what?
To discredit and manipulate civilian researchers.
They were using UFOs to mess with their own people.
According to these documents, they targeted people like Paul Benowitz.
Okay.
Who was investigating UFO activity near Kirtland Air Force Base.
Okay.
They fed him false information designed to make him think he was uncovering an alien conspiracy.
Hold on. Like, what kind of information?
Do you guys want to continue? Or I think everybody knows the Paul Benowitz story. Do you guys want me to like, do you want to continue listening and see if they direct off of it, or but
I
it's up to
mean,
you guys, really.
I don't care.
Okay, I'll keep playing, and I've got like 13. Okay, so I've got like 13 more minutes until I got to close the space down. So yeah, just let me know
Did
when you guys want to
Did you
stop.
hear her
Kind of.
kind of snicker when she said that some people even claim they're alien bodies?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, they're
don't
very
like that.
cynical.
Um,
I know we need to get us like a like a less skeptical, less debunking, prone AI. I mean,
that one
Shut
snicker
up. Right.
screwed it up. Just kidding.
and one last, like, just real quick. So this is the AI tonight, guys, that we'll be using. I added overnight. I added 92 more spaces. Transcripts to the database. So it'll be 292 spaces. UFO Twitter spaces. We're gonna use the AI to have a conversation about like the past year that we've had here on UFO Twitter. I've only been around personally for the last 9 months, so um, the spaces go back to May, I think, is the earliest space. But just as a way, it's not going to be a drama filled space or anything, or maybe it will be. I don't know. Maybe you guys get up there and start, asking it to call people out for, I don't know, saying stuff, behind your back. I mean, I don't know. Or maybe we actually, like, ask it, for some tips on how to improve our discernment, within the community and what we can do to, what we've done right, what we've done wrong. And I don't know. It's really up to you guys. I can't even imagine what's going to happen. So, that's at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. It'll be myself, Astral, and Doomer. And then, yeah, whoever wants to come up and speak, you're more than welcome. And we'll keep going. And so be in 10 minutes or so, like 10 to 11 minutes, I'll have to close the space down.
The Benowitz papers detail claims of aliens conducting gruesome experiments on abducted humans.
Oh, wow, that's intense.
They even planted evidence to support these claims,
Really?
pushing Benowitz to the brink of a mental breakdown.
Wow, they were playing mind games with this guy.
Using the fear of the unknown as a weapon.
But why go to such lengths? What were they so desperate to hide?
Was it just advanced technology, or is there something more to this?
That's the question that takes us to the next level.
If they're willing to manipulate their own people, what are they truly trying to protect?
And what about the aliens themselves? What are their motives?
Messengers of Deception offers a warning. Don't take any alleged alien messages at face value.
Okay, so be skeptical.
Valley suggests that these messages might be manipulation designed to influence behavior.
Okay, so we've gone from Cold War paranoia to the possibility of the CIA messing with people's minds.
And now we're adding potential alien deception to the mix.
It's getting pretty wild.
The excerpt from Arton's Aiden Rulers Through the Ages takes it to another level.
Right, it describes these beings as transdimensional parasites.
Seeking to entrap human souls.
And what's fascinating is how that seemingly outlandish idea connects back to the Benowitz papers.
One of the documents alleges an Air Force officer had been communicating with an alien.
Since 1964, wow.
This document states that the alien's objective is deception and manipulation.
That's a pretty dark interpretation.
But Archon's Hidden Rulers claims these Archons manipulate people on a subconscious level.
Yeah, leading to abductions.
This excerpt even describes specific techniques they allegedly use to feed off human energy.
Remember, we're looking at this from multiple angles.
Even the most outlandish ideas can point us in an interesting direction.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these seemingly disconnected pieces might fit together.
But if these entities are so advanced, why operate in the shadows?
Yeah, why not just reveal themselves?
What are they so determined to keep hidden?
That's a great question.
Maybe the answer lies in the technology itself.
Okay, let's get into that.
Area 51 and Black Jets makes it clear that government has been developing advanced aircraft in secret for decades.
Right, that makes sense.
What if we stumbled upon something truly revolutionary?
Okay.
Something that could change the world as we know it.
Like what? Anti-gravity, free energy.
Imagine if they'd recovered crashed UFOs and reverse engineered the technology.
Right.
Or made breakthroughs that could disrupt entire industries.
And shift the balance of power globally.
Okay, now you can see why they might want to keep things quiet.
Yes.
But the excerpt from Alien Contact describes a UFO effortlessly outmaneuvering U.S. Navy jets.
Right, disappearing in an instant.
That level of technology is hard to fathom.
Exactly.
Suggesting that might have something beyond our current understanding.
Okay, so we've got potential government cover-ups, disinformation campaigns, and maybe a hint of advanced technology.
That's being kept hidden.
Where do we go from here?
That's what we'll explore next. Whistleblower testimony and the possibility of a hidden world.
Sounds good. Let's take a quick break.
We'll be right back.
So we've uncovered some pretty unsettling possibility.
Hey guys, so basically, for the last 8 minutes, I'll just open it up to the panel if you guys want to talk about, the AI, what your thoughts are. I'm pretty impressed. I think it's only going to get better. Keep in mind, this came out yesterday morning. This is like as brand new as in fact, it's so brand new that not every Google user can even access. It's like they're slowly kind of, having accounts, they're slowly giving accounts access, and not everybody even has access yet. And, but I think it's really fascinating. I think it's great. I think it's going to change like spaces. I think if we start to incorporate this into spaces, I think it could be a game changer. But I'm going to be quiet now and let you guys, for the last 7.5 minutes, you guys can talk amongst yourselves. And yeah. Thanks for coming, by the way. Thanks everybody for coming to the space. I really appreciate it.
I think it
Pop
could
Tart, you
only
got
be as
your
good as the data provided. That's what my wife was working on AI for Blue Cross for a long time, and the data has to be perfect for it to perform properly, right? So it's a decision on what source books you're going to give it. You've got a pretty good expert opinion of the whole field, right? You have to show a lot of discernment. Do you really want to inject just a believer's book that you kind of don't believe? Do you only want to use your prejudices? How much more science do you put into it? Actual studies of black holes, etc., like that. That would be an important thing. And then if you mix data from so many different, not only like schools of thought, not only ufology, but schools of thought, and you might start having something unique coming out of it that we just like we all bring our own little points of view, it would have its unique point of view. It's got a lot of potential, man.
Pop Tart, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a couple things. One of which I find really interesting. It was the AI was talking about missing time, and I myself have had missing time, 45 seconds at least, and I have it on video here. And it was from my kids, and I talk about this all the time if you've ever heard me talk ever. My son, he's now 6. I believe, and it's undisputed, no one's contested me, still, that he's the youngest human to ever do CE5. So technically, he would be the youngest human in history to contact aliens. He made a silver disc, UFO, size of like a car, seamless, no windows, doors, anything. Literally nothing I've ever seen in my life. Come to our house in broad daylight, perfect blue sky, 10 feet above our roof. And unfortunately, they didn't allow me to take a video of it while it was a silver disc. I had my iPad in my hands down in my waist, and as soon as I lifted up my iPad to take a video, it shapeshifted in the blink of an eye from the silver disc, which was like physical 3D object, into a little orb the size of a baseball or tennis ball, white ball of light, which allowed me to take a video for what I thought was only 4 seconds. Then it disappeared on camera. And 5 minutes later, the other part I didn't get on camera, we're still outside. My kid said, "Daddy, aliens." I said, "Really? Where?" He said, "Right there," and pointed, and he was right. He actually pointed out that same orb, and it had come back and was now flying in the exact middle of a triangle or a flock of birds, and it was in perfect synchronization with the birds too. It was like it was reading the bird's mind and knew exactly where to fly, and it was in the exact middle though, and it swooped like 5 feet next to us above our heads and flew off. But so that whole time I thought, well, that was awesome. But all the evidence I had was 4 seconds of video. I thought that's all I had. Turns out 2 years later, I go back to my iPad looking at videos from that incident, and I find the 45-second clip I posted at the top. And Twitter, it makes the quality even shittier than normal. But on the video, you can see it's a small orb. The video makes it look smaller than. Well, in this video, I have no memory whatsoever of this incident happening. And that's what's crazy. Most people could say, "Oh, you were
All
abducted,"
right,
but yep.
hey, Pop Tart, can you land your plane real quick so we can let Tony and my co-host and Dove
Oh
get
yeah,
a last word in
That
that's
before
term
pretty
has
much it.
changed, Grider, to land your drone. It's land your drone now.
I'm just trying to be nice. I'm just trying to be
I was
polite.
just saying that I don't think hypnotherapy and hypnoregression is accurate. I could obviously say, "Oh, I could have been abducted during that missing time." Anything you could say happened, but I personally believe that hypnotherapy as well as abductions are not true, and the AI is not accounting for man-made PLFs. And that I think that is interesting too, and says something that you know that's not going to account for the psychological warfare operations going on, like Joey
Yeah,
talked about.
cool. Yeah, you know what? I've had like a decade go missing. I don't know where the last decade went, so like I can relate. Dove, and then we'll go to Big Tony, and then closing it out, Sky Anomaly. So,
I don't want
Dove,
to
what's up?
Yeah.
put that pressure
Uh,
on me. Sorry, Dove, go ahead.
Yeah,
uh,
you need to check your underwear. You got your underwear like scrunched up in your butt or something since you came back. I'm just saying, Sky.
I said don't put
Dove.
that pressure on me. It's a lot of pressure to have the closing final thoughts. But go ahead, Dove.
All right,
Sorry
then
about
I
that.
okay.
won't. I'll
Quick
let Big Tony
announcement.
take it.
If anybody follows true crime, the Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann was just charged finally after like over 10, 15 years now with the 7th victim, Valerie Mack. So I never thought I would see that day, but it's
Yeah, that
done.
is huge.
I know
Yes.
people like I used to be obsessed with that case, and I know sometimes UFO people also, you know,
Is there
goof
a,
around in the
is there a
true crime.
podcast or a series we can watch or listen to learn more about it?
Yeah. There's a bunch. Let me grab it's pretty interesting. It's a long drawn out case, but I can't believe like I'm shocked still, even though he got arrested like 2 years ago now. Some of these cases are from back in the 90s. So it's a pretty big deal to have him charged with this crime from so long ago. I'll grab a link.
Thank you.
Cool. Hey, and probably don't post it in the nest because the nest disappears, after the space wind. And we're about to end the space. Thank you so much, Dove. Scott, thank you, Pop Tart, for coming up and speaking, man. Kurt, sorry we're not gonna be able to get to you. Next time. Zim, thanks for coming. Fetch, sorry again we're not able to get to you, man. And everybody else who came. This is a really fun space, and it's only going to get better. I mean, once we learn how to use this AI, and like this is going to be awesome. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. Don't forget tonight, probably the destruction of the community when I unleash this 292 space transcript, to the AI. It's probably going to be
I
like
have
a
yeah.
nuclear bomb.
You can't do
But
that.
hey, you know what?
It says on the
It's
invite.
completely up to you guys. Like, you can use a gun for good, you can use it for bad. It's really actually, it's all bad. But that was a bad example. All right, Tony, the closing words, I'm gonna hand it to you. All right, because really, yeah, Sky Anomaly, like in the past, he's really screwed me over with that last word thing. So, Tony, you've got exactly a minute. All right, and in 59 seconds, I'm gonna end the space.
I'll share it with Kraft. My only comment is that we just have to keep in mind that not all language models are created equal, and behind every prompt that you give it are system prompts that install a bias and create answers. I've been working with a couple of programmers over the past year to create a website for construction purposes, and we've gone through about 20 models, and they all are different. And so anyway, it's just a general comment about AI overall. But Kraft, why don't you say something smart?
Something smart.